Whatever, everybody. Good morning. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. I think we can get our heads right on a Monday. I think we can. My head's feeling pretty right today, despite some baseball happenings over the weekend here in San Diego. Beauty of baseball, there's always another one. Another chance to even it out today, certainly. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you. We really appreciated you guys that came out on Friday, hung out with us at AleSmith. You make the anxiety of doing a live broadcast pretty easy for us as you pack the place and everyone's so friendly. Nobody threw anything at us. It was really, really cool to see you guys. So much obliged. Thank you for watching us on YouTube as well. Go to YouTube, put in Ben and Woods. You can watch us there. Thanks for listening on the radio. Thanks for listening on the Odyssey app. Thanks for listening on Alexa and all of those things. But we're just happy to be here with each other and with you guys. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, our executive producer. You're a little pale for a gentleman that spent 48 hours on the actual sun.
Yes. Well, I didn't actually go out in the sun. Are you kidding me?
I thought Paulie was going to come back looking like a crisped piece of bacon.
Sunscreen's a hell of a thing, my
It's
friend.
a hell of a drug, my friend.
No, it was it was hot. Went out to Palm Springs over the weekend.
Yeah.
It was hot.
It's hot.
But what would you expect it to be in Palm Springs in
You're
August?
in the desert.
Like the hottest it got was like 109, 110, which is hot. But again, it's not like you're, in Montreal and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like,
you're in the desert.
Yeah, you knew what you're getting into. I mean,
I'm in the desert.
Like we started our morning, we went downtown, walked around, looked at some of the shops. It was like 98. You're like, this is perfect. This is fine.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, 98 out there feels a hell of a lot different than 98 here in San Diego.
That is a fact. That is an absolute fact. Benjamin R. Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor to my left. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. Let me echo what you said about Friday at AleSmith. Very cool to see everybody out there celebrate our new 3-year contract. Right after the show, we did a toast with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That was very cool. That stayed around and lifted a little glass to Ben and Woods sticking around on 97.3 The Fan for the next 3.5 years.
That's right.
Which means, the 3.5 years of ups and downs with our San Diego Padres, just like we had this weekend. We had the lowest of the lows, the highest of the highs, and back to the lowest of the lows again. But I will say the
middest of the mids, basically.
I will say that, like you, I feel surprisingly optimistic this morning. Honestly, it was a good week. From last Monday to this Monday.
Yeah, it was.
Padres are closer to a playoff spot. They're 3 games out. They have 50 games to play. All the time in the world right now to come back and still accomplish what they'd like to accomplish. We'll, of course, talk about the news about Joe Musgrove, which is concerning, and what they're going to do about their starting rotation going forward. It's certainly not all peaches and cream for the San Diego Padres yet.
It's actually raspberries and cream.
Is it
day.
raspberries?
Today
and cream
is National Raspberries and Cream Day, so it's not all raspberries and cream. It doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same effect as when you say peaches and cream.
No, but
it is National Raspberries and
Cream
Cream
in the spirit
Day.
of things, and if it is National Raspberries and Cream, I will say it is not all raspberries and cream this morning for San Diego Padres. Yet. They've got time, and if they can just chip away, hey, gain a game a week the rest of the season on the wild card leaders. Not only can you get into the playoffs, you could still host a first-round series.
Absolutely. It's
the wild card round.
Yeah, I mean, you hate so much of what you saw out at Petco Park this weekend. You really do. You hate there's so much, man, that I hate. I hated some things. I was very, very, very upset on Friday night, and we can get into all that. We will, in fact, get into all of that. There's maybe a little, not going to drag anybody out to the woodshed, but might walk them off onto the back porch and say, "You see that? That's the woodshed. You don't want to be in the woodshed, but we're getting close to some guys being put in the woodshed. Honestly, like, you see this? You know what that is out there. You know what happens in there." That's the woodshed. You don't want me to unlock that door. This is just like me talking to my 5-year-old, except I don't have an actual woodshed.
All right. How about this? Just a couple of numbers to set the mood of the morning. Fangraphs. That is a very analytical driven source, right? That is
it's not feeling.
That is not feeling, emotion, or anything like that. can't remember exactly where we were a week ago, but I remember it was somewhere around like the Padres had a 28% chance of making the playoffs. And
that was about 10 days ago.
And we were like, that seems optimistic even now. Well, they've climbed up to 45.8% chances of making the playoffs. But how about this?
It ain't them. It's not them that's doing this.
But while the Giants have a 74.6% chance of making the playoffs, the Padres have a higher percentage. They have the third highest percentage in the National League of winning the World Series. So Fangraph says, not only do we think they have a chance of getting in, but if they do get in, they got a really good chance of getting hot and going on a run.
It's wild. I mean, again, you hear that and hope continues to spring eternal, but you got to play better baseball. And for me, my nitpicking about the San Diego Padres really doesn't come from much on the field as far as, hits and runners and pitches and things like that. It's more about an attitude. Those are the things that I have kind of the biggest problem with today is the attitude or lack thereof. I think that's what really got under my skin this weekend. And I wasn't alone. I went and played ball yesterday with my friends, and it was the talk of the dugout. We had about 15 guys show up for a game at 1:00 at Escondido High. All anybody wanted to talk about was Friday night and essentially, looking like kind of punks in your own house. And it's a little bit aggro. It's a little bit testosterone-y. I understand all that. And there's some aspect of the game that's important, right? To kind of let people know you don't get to come in here and do that. And please don't think that I'm in here advocating for violence or anything like that, because I'm not. What I'm advocating for is for standing up for yourself and standing up for your teammates and really standing up for the fans of the city as well. The fans, it's the oldest adage in sports. And there are times when I look at it and go, that's ridiculous. But when you hear the fans care more than the players, the fans take it more personally than the players, I'll get behind the fans take it more personally than the players. That I absolutely will get behind. They do. They're the ones out in, they're spending their hard-earned money. They're plunking it down. They're sitting in hours of traffic. They're paying $50 to park. They're going in. They're buying very expensive food, very expensive beer, very expensive merch. They're sitting there, and then they're watching everyone playing grab ass with your quote-unquote rival that's ahead of you in the division. It's tough. It's a tough watch. And I'm not saying that you need to start throwing haymakers. I'm not. I mean, to be fair, I did enjoy the Jose Ramirez, Tim Anderson fisticuffs. I did enjoy that as an outsider. That being said, I fully stand behind those fans that are absolutely pissed off this morning.
It's tough. I would not dream of calling anybody or the team as a whole on the San Diego Padres soft. I think that would be ridiculous. You look at the guys, Manny Machado is not a soft individual. I mean, players on the team work very hard. They care very much. They're throwing their bodies around out there. They're playing unbelievable defense in the field, trying to win games every single night. However, it does feel like other teams are more willing to put their toes up to the line, to the edge of the line than the San Diego Padres are when it comes to things like pitching inside, when it comes to things like
just dancing and
just challenging,
just
getting in the face of other players, other teams, whatever. It does feel like other teams do it more. Now, I don't know that helps you win games or not. I really don't. I mean, you're the first one who will call something eyewash when it's eyewash. And I'm not sure that what Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson did had any effect on their teams whatsoever. And maybe it could have a negative effect ultimately on one or both of those teams. It doesn't, just because you're willing to fight or willing to throw at someone does not help you win a baseball game. I'm a firm believer of that. However,
I am a firm disagreeer of that, of win a baseball game.
I mean, I can show you, like, you throw at someone, put them on base, you have less of a chance to win that game.
I get that.
I mean, that's
not what I'm saying. I'm not saying start dotting guys, right? But to let what has happened and continuing to let it happen, that's tough. And that's tough for those players that end up spending the majority of their time on their ass or wearing 98 in the back or all the things that happen and really have happened over the last, well, not just couple weeks, but few years. There's a good way to get Fernando Tatis Jr. out. If I had to pitch against Fernando Tatis Jr., I'm going up and in, and then I'm going down and away. I will get him more times than I won't. Now, if I make a mistake and miss when I go up and in, he's going to pound me. If I hang a slider on the outside corner, he's going to pound it. But that's how you get guys out. I'm not saying that. Why don't any of our guys try to get guys out that way? Why would you let Mookie Betts be so comfortable in the 8th inning that he can go in there and just absolutely murder one to left field, 400 feet? Why would you let Freddie Freeman be so comfortable? Why would you not move these guys' feet? Again, I'm not saying put it in his ear hole, hit him in the back. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, like, everyone's way too comfortable. They're way too comfortable, Ben, sliding in a second with a huge lead last night and dancing on second base, turning around to center field, dancing to center field. Hey, look at us. It sucks, dude. It sucks as a fan to watch. I cannot believe there's not one player on our team that takes exception to that. Not one. I cannot believe I can't wrap my head around it.
I mean, what do you want him to do?
You know what I want him to do?
The guy who's out at second base?
Say, walk up to him. Say something. Hey, knock it off.
I mean, the Padres do it every time they get out onto base.
Settle down.
They have a different
one. They do this.
They do the crossing of the arms.
They cross their arms and do this. They flap once. I mean, give me a break. Mookie Betts dancing at third base. Just jamming, just having a ball. They're just too comfortable. They're too comfortable at the plate. Did you know
him and Freddie Freeman are friends, by the way?
Don't get me started on the ESPN broadcast, Paulie.
We've got segments still to go today.
My anxiety watching that game last night. I don't know that I could ever watch. I don't know that I could ever watch another ESPN broadcast of a team I enjoy. I really don't know. I don't think I can. They do the least possible work known to man. There's shows we don't really prep hardcore for. Let's put it this way. Friday at AleSmith, one of those shows. Paulie was going to be out. We are all busy. We're like, all right, we'll figure it out. We'll have the fans there. That we prepped 15 times harder than they did for Padres Dodgers last night. Holy smokes, man. Just to the well, to the well, to the well. So, Ben, listen, I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I would just like to see somebody say, hey, knock it off, dude. Knock it off in our house, right? Just stop. Settle down. You're up 8-2. You're good, Kike. You don't need to dance. It just gets old. It gets tired. And it looks like this team has no, I don't want to say fight. It looks like this team has they don't care about, each other. That's why I want to see them stick up for each other. That's what I want to see them.
All right. We have a lot to discuss on the program today. The weekend that was, the Joe Musgrove injury, had some comments by Jake Cronenworth. People were talking about all weekend as well about the fans. And there was definitely a Dodger fan invasion this weekend at Petco Park. There's no doubt about it. This team has had the Padres number outside of last year's playoff series, which was fantastic. This is now 13 consecutive season series won by the Dodgers over the Padres.
It's unreal, man.
It's the first time that has ever happened in the divisional era of baseball that a team has won 13 consecutive season series over another team.
Wouldn't that in and of itself be enough for you guys? Wouldn't it be enough? Like, you're constantly getting your ass kicked, constantly getting punked in your own house. Guys coming into your house, sitting down on the couch, putting his feet up, hand down his pants. What's up? Give me something to eat. Make me a sandwich. It's horrible. So how many times? 13 straight? Wouldn't you get sick of it? Wouldn't you get tired of it? I know I would. Terrible.
We'll go through all the games from the weekend. Jordan Shusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue will join us on a grand old Monday at 8:35. Talk about some of those, I think, issues with him. He's got his pulse on what goes on around the big leagues. Looking forward to talking to Jordan as we do each and every Monday, either him or Jake. Sam Levitt will be with us at 9:35. He was with the fans this weekend in the Western Metal Supply Company building as he did the pre- and post-game shows. All coming up, our regular features as well, including the Daily Ditty. Woods picking the song and the theme when we come back. It is getting started here on a Monday. Lots of issues to discuss. With you out there, the Tier 1s on Ben and Woods, let's check traffic for the first time with Kelly Danick, and we are rolling on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Man, I love me some old school Elvis Presley. Don't you guys? Oh, wait. That's not Elvis Presley. Listen to this.
No, but it's a decent cover. Or was this the original and then Elvis did the cover?
Elvis never did it.
He never did it.
Never.
Never at all?
Never.
All right.
It sounds just like Elvis. Does it not sound just like Elvis Presley?
Yeah.
It does.
So this is Hamilton, Joe Frank, and Reynolds. Hamilton, comma, Joe Frank, comma.
It's
and
3
Reynolds.
people, not 4.
Correct. So it would be like
Not Hamilton and Joe, and then Frank's here.
Higgins, Steve Woods, Reindl is the name of their band. Higgins, Steve Woods, Reindl is their
The
band.
formatting issue there, I think.
Hamilton,
Okay.
Joe Frank, and Reynolds. Joe's like, I don't know about you guys, but I want my full name. They're like, God dang it, Frank. Hamilton, Frank, and Reynolds has a good ring to it. But that song is called Don't Pull Your Love.
Maybe they
it's
all just
classic.
decided they got 8 letters to use and they could use them
Any way they
however
want.
Hamilton, 8
8
letters.
letters.
Joe Frank,
8 letters.
Reynolds, 8 letters.
It's
They each
fantastic.
get 8 letters in the band name, and however you want to distribute them, it's up to you.
Just fantastic stuff. But you guys are going to hate me for this. I thought that was Elvis Presley about 80% of my entire life. I never knew that it wasn't. So songs that you thought were somebody else. And I have about 10
probably
off
do
the
that.
top of my head that you're like, God, I thought that was, blah, blah, blah.
So, like artists that sound like other artists.
That you
And
can do
you
that.
were just confused
Or
by
if
the song.
you can't think of one off the top of your head, because I've got about 4 or 5 that I heard the first time, like on the radio, and went, oh, is that the new Pearl Jam or whatever? No, that's Creed. And so, you're like, oh, new Pearl Jam. No, that's a new song from Creed. So I think if you don't have them, then yeah, you can do artists that sound like other artists, because that guy sounds, he's like, it's right out of the Elvis Presley playbook. So there it is. Don't Pull Your Love. Hamilton, Joe Frank, and Reynolds. Daily Ditty.
Quick check of the NL wildcard standings going in, just kind of to start the week.
Yeah,
Where's
start me
everybody
off here. Where are we at?
kind of heading? Because, no one's really played that well since the All-Star break, the Cubs being the one exception. In fact, for the first time, the Cubs are in one of the 3 wildcard spots. The Giants and Phillies are both 61 and 51, tied for the first wildcard spot. The Cubs are 3 games back at 58 and 54. They're percentage points ahead of the reeling Cincinnati Reds, who've lost 6 in a row. They're 59 and 55. Then you go back half a game to the Miami Marlins, also reeling at 58 and 55. Then the Diamondbacks are a game and a half back of the Cubs. They are also reeling at 57 and 56. And then your San Diego Padres at 55 and 57 are 3 games back of the Cubs and Reds and 6 games back of the Giants and Phillies, which means, like I said, if you pick up a game a week the rest of the year, not only you get into the playoffs, you could be the top seed still in the National League wildcard race. It's all right there. Now, I don't think you can expect everybody to play as poorly as they have since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
But I also think a couple of these teams may be beyond the ability to turn it around as poorly as they have played lately. And you also face a number of those
That's
teams
the key.
ahead of you. So
They did their job up until this point by falling back down to earth.
Yep,
and
correct.
Letting you back in. Now, while they may turn it around a little bit, you have all the opportunity in front of you. You're going to play all of those teams multiple times,
including the Arizona Diamondbacks later this week with 3 games at Chase Field in Arizona, where you take on the team that's directly ahead of you. You pick them off one by one. You get the Marlins, another series coming up as well. Try to pick them off one by one and keep moving up the list, hopefully to the point where you can get into a playoff position for your San Diego Padres.
Yeah, you'd obviously feel better if the team was playing. Well, no, I can't even say that. They are playing better. They're playing better. I'm that's not corporate talk. They are playing better. They had, what was the stat Sammy had? They had the best record in the NL in the month of July. Like, okay, that's clearly better than they were. They have not had the, knock on wood, as rough as it's been this year, and the win 2, lose 1, win 2, lose 2, whatever. There has not really been that massive, massive skid where you're like, oh my God, we just dropped 12 in a row. Knock on wood that never happens. That is something I can't foresee happening. Then again, baseball has slapped me in the face and proved me wrong 1,000 times this year. But does anybody, let's take the temperature. Does anybody have a problem with how they get into the playoffs as long as they get there? I really don't. I don't care how they do it. They backed in last year and had a pretty successful run.
And by the way, just continuing our discussion from the open, I don't think that this year's team is, you don't like some of the things you've seen in terms of defending each other. Don't feel like I've seen anything different from this year's team than last year's team. Last year's team they didn't, go inside at people, and they didn't challenge a lot of opponents, and they made it all the way to the National League Championship Series. Would you agree with that statement at least?
Yeah.
That this is the DNA of who apparently the San Diego Padres are, and we've already seen that DNA is certainly good enough to make a deep playoff run because they did it last year. Now, are they always doomed to have to fight their way and, go up and down during the regular season? Is that part of it, that they're just, unable to get on one of these long runs and, actually put some distance between themselves and other teams? Or is this what we're always going to see from the San Diego Padres? I don't know about that.
DNA is a really, really good way to describe it, because I think one would say, if you're a Dodger fan and if you're honest with yourself, the 2020 season notwithstanding, your DNA has been to play really, really well during the regular season, dominate your opponents, impose your will, dance in their face, throw at guys. It doesn't matter. And then when October comes, the diaper gets full, and that's been their DNA. I can't decide what DNA I'd like better. I'll take my chances, I guess, with the team that tries to get hot around October instead of the team that's super hot in May and June. Now, again, Dodger fans will come for me, and we're always in it. We're always in it. Absolutely. You're absolutely always in it. But if you're going to look at the DNA of a team, I mean, you got to be honest with yourself, man. Some of the October meltdowns have been legendary. So a DNA is an interesting way to put it. I like to think, and I know you can't change real DNA. You got to remember too, this team in its history, Ben, it's not really been the team that was going for it a lot. It was a lot of kind of wait and see, and wait till you see these prospects and the hot talent lava. Only over the last couple of years have they really almost decided to get serious about trying to win baseball games.
I think you can make the argument, though, that it's not that surprising that some of these younger, out-of-nowhere teams are falling back to the pack. The Reds, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, even the Giants got swept by the A's over the weekend.
Yeah, man.
Unproven, and they had to go out and, they were playing with their hair on fire. But in a long season, you start to get a little tired in the second half. You hit the dog days of August, and you hit a wall. What we've seen from the Padres is maybe a team that doesn't necessarily put everything into April, May, June, July,
yeah.
But they've had something left in the tank, for September and October, did last year. And maybe that's what we're going to see this year from the Padres as well. Now, it can be difficult as fans to go through a season like that, but if that's what they've been doing and they've got enough in the tank to really, hit the gas, hit the accelerator over the final couple of months of the season and play their best baseball in October, I can live with that. They just have to go out and do it now.
Yeah,
and, it's right in front of them. So, 3 games out of a playoff spot with 50 games remaining in the season. I mean, you're still in it if you're 3 games out with 3 games left, but 50 games left, Padres they've got everything right in front of them. All right, we're going to take a time out. When we come back, we'll start with yesterday's game. Padres Wrap-Up.
Boy.
Rich Hill's debut did not go well. The harshest critic of Rich Hill so far that I've seen.
Rich Hill.
Dick
Mountain.
Don't hate that. Didn't actually think he was as bad as other people, but
Dick Mountain. I read a lot.
Could have had a lot better results in that game than he did. We'll talk about yesterday's loss to the Dodgers and the other games as well coming up with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All guests on Meadow Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. And looking forward to having Woods explain the blocking the plate rule once again.
I'm so excited
season.
I'm excited to give that to you
for
guys.
us coming up in our Padres wrap-up, because I still am very unclear. I thought I comprehend the English language, so I read the rule.
Yeah.
And then I watch the play, and I decide, obviously, that's got to hold up as an out.
Correct.
I followed every single rule that says, all right, the infielder was in. G-Man Choi was playing right on the edge of the grass. It's an infield grounder. It's a bunt, so there can be no blocking of the plate,
Correct.
according to the rule. Also, if the catcher sets up in front of the plate, but then as he's going to catch the ball moves in front, that's also legal.
Correct.
Which is what Gary Sanchez did. His feet were in front of the plate when the ball was released,
You
and then
nailed
he
it.
stepped into it. Again, in the rules, stating very clearly that was not blocking the plate.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
I am a little unclear as to how Major League Baseball comes up with a safe call.
I got your answer.
For the Dodgers there.
Jason Coletti tweeted last night. Here's the rule, and when you hear it, it makes sense. If Gary Sanchez is involved, it's obstruction. That's about the clearest understanding of the rule I have, and that is three for three with Gary Sanchez behind the. This is not. It's
the
not
Buster Posey rule.
Correct.
Intended to protect the catcher from getting hurt. Unless it's Gary Sanchez, then we're trying to protect the runner.
The runner. Correct. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, you got it. It nails it. I mean, Jason Coletti absolutely nailed that.
So if you want to tell me that, hey, he beat the throw, he was there, he just didn't have a lane to touch home plate. If that's what you want to make the rule, I'm okay with that. But then when the Padres, nail a guy by 20 feet earlier in the season, then he also has to be out. You can't go against the Padres on every call this year.
Who's the catcher?
Gary Sanchez.
I just told you. If Gary Sanchez is involved, it's obstruction. That's about the clearest understanding of the rule that there is.
I mean, I almost feel like Bob Melvin didn't make enough of a scene.
What are you going to do? It's the third time it's happened. There's nothing you can do.
I would get thrown out of the game at that point. I would say I would almost think about pulling my team off the field until someone calls me and explains if I don't understand, how can we play as a team? If we don't understand the rules of the game, I am not putting my team on the field. I need someone from the league office to call me and explain exactly why. I will wait. We will sit here for 20 minutes and not send the team. If you want to forfeit the game, fine. But someone needs to explain what my catcher is supposed to do, because this could happen again on the next play.
I got it.
And the next play.
I got it.
What is the actual rule that the Padres are violating?
When Gary Sanchez sets up in front of the plate, then he needs to activate his hover feature. Hover up sideways so that you're almost laying down sideways, but hovering above the plate, catch the ball, tag him perfectly. It is absolutely absurd by the letter of the law. I have the law.
Again, if you want to make the rule, if there's no lane to the plate, no matter what,
I have the law.
It's
right here.
He's safe. Fine. But that's not the rule.
I got it real quick. I'm going to find it here. What a Dodger fan said. Take it to change.org. Maybe they'll change it. Then I go, all right, you sucker. You got me, dude. You got me good. Even I can appreciate some witty banter like that. So I will, just so you know, I will be filing it at change.org today. I hope you guys all sign. I saved it last night. Here we go. Ready? It shall not be considered a violation of this rule if the catcher blocks the pathway of the runner in a legitimate attempt to field the throw, e.g., in reaction to the direction trajectory of the hop or the incoming throw, or in reaction to a throw that originates from a pitcher or drawn in infielder. It's very, very clear that if the infield is in and there's going to be a play at the plate in the infield, whether it's the pitcher, third baseman, hell, even the shortstop, the second baseman that are all in on the grass, infield in, charging the ball, not a block. It's not a block.
G-Man Choi was in.
Oh, yeah.
He was in. I mean, he was close enough to first because they had to hold the runner.
Right.
He was first and third.
But he did it
But
beeline.
he was inside of the first base bag, went straight in. I mean, can someone from the league office explain this? You can't
call the league office.
Thank you. Please do.
Just get him on the phone.
Get Rob Manfred on the phone. We've had him on the show before. It's been a while. It was like our second show or third show ever.
I never want to talk to him again.
Yeah, this is Paul.
Yeah.
Just get somebody from the league.
All right, why don't you, while you talk on
Rob,
the
you
phone,
suck.
let's check traffic, then
Let's
we'll
hit
come
him
back.
let's hit him with a Ben prank call.
Oh, I like that.
I like Squirt. Hello? Really?
Come
Who's
back with our
this?
Padres wrap-up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Several hot spots causing you some headaches this morning, guys. Traffic got a crawl out of Santee, westbound 52 near Mass Boulevard. Accident involving several vehicles, including a semi. They've just cleared everything out of lanes, but yeah, watch out for lots of residual there. Cars blocking the slow lane northbound side of the 805 just past Claremont Mesa Boulevard. Also going to find on the North 5 coastline just before the racetrack. Collision in the second lane from the left. Now crash reported on northbound 15 just before Rancho Bernardo Road. Looks like that is in the 2 left lanes. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy live from the Crapper again.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
Oh, God, here we go.
It's the Padres Wrap-Up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamel Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamel Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamel Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
0-2 hit it the air to deep right. Tatis over into the corner at the Petco porch, gonna go. 2-run homer, Ahmed Rosario. Only his second as a Dodger, and he got it right over the little railing atop the blue fence down the right field line. Barnes bunts towards first, charged by Choi. Underhand flip home. The tag is in time. They got him. What a play by Choi, and a great tag by Sanchez. The squeeze bunt, and Hernandez out at the plate.
If this holds, this is just going to be on Sanchez with a good block. Dave Roberts out of the dugout will challenge it.
After review, there was a violation of the home plate collision rule. The call on the field is overturned. The runner is now safe. Los Angeles retains their challenge.
Choi backs up behind him. Now the pitch. Freeman hits it in the air to deep right field. Fernando goes back to watch this one. Gonna go. 3-run homer, Freddie Freeman. And just like that, a 6-0 Dodger lead in the second. 0-2, Sanchez hits it a mile deep down the left field line. Will it stay fair? Yes, sir. Off the tee of Western Metal. Long home run to left for Gary Sanchez. And the Padres are on the board here in the bottom of the third. 2-1, hit high in the air to deep right field. Mookie Betts is back. He looks up. It's going to go. Home run, Jake Cronenworth. 9-game hitting streak for Jake. Second homer of the day for the Padres. And their work against the bullpen gets off to a good start. It's 6-2. 3-2, Betts hits it in the air to deep left center field. Soto goes back to watch, but this one going to go. Fifth or sixth row out in the left center field gap. Mookie Betts with a home run, his 30th of the year. Third of the day for the Dodgers. They now lead 7-2. Hernandez swings at the first pitch, hits it in the air down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Soto gets to it before it finds the warning track, but it'll be another run for the Dodgers. Peralta comes in to score. It's an RBI double for Kike Hernandez, and now 8-2 in the ninth. No balls and a strike. Here's the pitch. Sanchez hits a chopper to third base right over the bag. Fielded by Taylor. Long throw to first is in time, and the ball game is over. Dodgers take the third game of this 4-game series by a final of 8-2. They scored 6 times in the first 2 innings and never looked back.
Well, they made him throw some pitches and made him work, but it ended up being 2 swings of the bat that were 5 of the 6 runs. So gave up 4 hits, made them throw a bunch of pitches, were advantageous when they hit the homers. So, probably not his best stuff, but they made him work and had a couple big swings.
Tough debut for Rich Hill there as the Padres fall 8-2 on Sunday Night Baseball last night. Ben and Woods back with you, and I'm sure he was very disappointed. You could tell from Rich Hill's post-game comments that he was very disappointed in himself last night in his performance against the LA Dodgers. What did he say? No sugarcoating it. It was crap, is what Rich Hill said about his own performance. I will give a softer reading to it. I don't think that Rich Hill against the Dodgers is a particularly good matchup.
Yeah, not super favorable.
I mean, a guy who really doesn't have put you away stuff anymore, throws about 88, 89 tops against a team that is really good at spoiling pitches and fouling him off. You're going to be stuck up there for long at bats like the one that resulted in the 10-pitch Freddie Freeman 3-run home run that essentially really did ice it. The one, by the way, that Freddie should have never been up for.
Correct.
Had they not, overturned the call at home plate that we were just discussing before. I will also say, the Ahmed Rosario, and a lot of people saying that was a bad 0-2 pitch, and it was too much over the plate. I mean, it was top of the zone. It was not that well-struck ball. I mean, it was hit 92.3 miles an hour. It had an XBA of 080. Well, there would have been a home run in only 2 other parks in baseball. Just happened to put it in exactly the right spot at Petco Park for a 2-run home run. I'm just saying on a lot of days, Rich Hill probably ends up with much better numbers. I mean, he gave up 4 hits or 3. What was it? 4 hits and 2 walks, and everyone scored. I mean, that came in. You rarely see that a team is that efficient and gets every runner home against a pitcher. I mean, the way they did against Rich Hill yesterday.
They are a pretty efficient team.
They are.
They are a pretty efficient team. I saw a stat last night that pretty much blew my mind. I'm looking for. Here we go. All right, through the first 2 innings of the game where they scored 6 runs, their expected batting average was 188. I mean, just some nights it's not your night. I get it.
And Avila did a very nice job in relief as well. Good job picking up in some innings when they needed him. And I saw a lot of people saying Avila should have started that game. And I'm not going to say you're wrong. With the potential matchup, it might have been the better call. But at that point, with the national spotlight, the experience that Rich Hill brought to the table, I'm probably going with Rich Hill in that game as well. To be honest, Bob Melvin will have to think about the matchups as he goes forward, but I promise you, and for the Padres fans who basically threw Rich Hill on the trash heap last night, and I saw him on social media, like, oh, this guy, what a terrible pickup. He will start more games for the Padres, and he will throw some big innings for the Padres the rest of this season. Rich Hill is not the worst pitcher in the game. I promise you. He's crafty. He is a competitor. He is a gamer, and he will start again for the Padres. And he will throw some big innings for the Padres the rest of the way. Don't go into it, Padres fans, just going, well, it's Rich Hill pitching, so they are going to lose today. That will not be the case. I will eat my words. If Rich Hill loses every start the rest of the season, I will eat my words. But I fully believe Rich Hill will have some big innings and will help the Padres to at least a couple of wins the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly see how that would happen. Bottom line, though, is you got Lance Lynn. You had him on the ropes a couple times. And again, the inability to deliver the knockout blow or to even get the crowd behind it, by getting a big knock here or there. It came a little bit late with Crony's bomb. But other than that, man, I mean, you had plenty of chances early, even down 6-0. I did not feel like, oh, God, we are about to get overpowered. I saw the night before the Dodgers bullpen implode. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, like, we can absolutely win this game. And, oh, look, knock. Oh, look, another knock. Then double play, lazy fly ball out. And
by the way, another double play on a replay. I still don't get how they overturned that one.
My favorite part of that was watching the ESPN broadcast, which we'll get into and don't do this, maybe the whole segment. David Cohn goes, I just don't see how there's any enough evidence to overturn this. I'm like, David, come on, buddy. Who are we talking about here? 2 seconds later, out. Double play. The ball was rolling around in Freddie's glove. Fernando's foot was on the bag. It's just like, all right, at that point, you're just like, I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to hang out with my kids, my family. It's not, I don't do the conspiracy theory bit. I just feel like.
And I don't know that any of it, the call at the plate, the call at first base, the decision to start Rich Hill, I don't know that any of it changes the outcome of that game.
No, I don't either.
Padres might have lost anyway, but I would like them to at least be given the opportunity to compete on a level playing field against their opponent.
The funny thing is, if Fernando hits that ball into the gap, no problem. We're not worried about it there. Fernando's been hitting some balls hard. He is in a really, really bad slump, and he's swinging at pitches he normally wouldn't swing at. Don't know what's going on with him, but it may be time to jigger the lineup a little bit, Ben. I don't know. You hate to constantly tinker with things. I heard some really interesting narratives that were just spun out of thin air by Eduardo Perez. We'll play those for you on Don't Do This. It just, I mean, literally just making stuff up.
And
It's amazing.
the stat of the game for me was 0 for 11. Tatis, Soto, and Machado.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna win those games.
You're probably not gonna win many games that way. Throw in Kim and Bogarts, and they each had one single.
Yeah.
When you're getting 2 singles out of the top 5 in your lineup, the guys that are really the feared part of your order,
it's gonna be tough to win.
You're not gonna win many games like that, whether it's against the Dodgers or against the Nationals. You're just not gonna win a lot of games when you get nothing out of those guys. And guess what? It's baseball. There are going to be games like that. There are going to be a couple more the rest of the way. You just hope that there's not too many of them where everybody just can't find a way to get a hit. And all those guys hit balls hard at some point in the game. They didn't fall in. It wasn't the Padres' night. Seems like that happens a lot against the Los Angeles Dodgers, but here we are. And
on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah, and here we are, 1 game left in the series. I think we all said on Friday morning, yes, I'd love them to win the series, but no one's turning away a 2-2 split.
No.
They have a chance to get that tonight with a win, or this afternoon with a win, and split the 4-game series and be no worse than 3 games out in the wild card. I'd be more than happy with that.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens today. We'll talk about it more coming up. We got Take on Woods to kick off our 7 o'clock hour next. Got to get into Saturday night's fireworks as well. All coming up with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. 7 a.m. here on 97.3 The Fan. It is Ben and Woods. Going to play Take on Woods here in a couple of minutes. Try to qualify someone for getaway to Las Vegas, Cool and the Gang tickets. If you want to get in early, I always recommend that. 833-288-0973, usually around 7:09, 7:10. We play our musical trivia game each morning against Woodsy. 5 questions, head-to-head. At some point probably should discuss the early exit by the U.S. women's national team at the World Cup. Hard to discuss a game that took place at 2 a.m. in San Diego. Even I didn't stay up for that one. Just woke up yesterday morning to the disappointing news.
I like that you'll stay up for a game in the middle of the week, but on the weekend you won't. You're like,
I couldn't do it.
It's the weekend.
I thought about it. I did think about it, but
it's Monday. All right,
I was very tired, and I thought I'll probably wake up sometime in the middle of the night.
And Paul's time, I don't mind.
I'll hop up. Once you get into your 40s, you wake up at least once or twice a night to go use the bathroom. And I thought, all right, well, when I do that, I'll turn on the game and see how it's going. And I just slept right on through until like 6 a.m. And I looked at my phone. I go, oh, they lost. They lost. And then I saw, they dominated and lost. 11 shots to 1 and lost. Multiple chances and penalty kicks to win and lost. What a miserable, painful exit for the U.S. women's national team from the World Cup. It really, you couldn't have scripted it almost any worse for the team than it went in Australia and New Zealand for them over the last week and a half or so.
That's tough. I didn't obviously stay up and watch it either, but I woke up and had notifications on my phone. I went, oh, wow.
Honestly, the whole Dateline and time change thing was very confusing. Shelly wanted to watch it, but she thought it was Sunday night going into Monday.
Yeah.
So when she got up and I said, oh, they lost, she goes, no, they don't play until tomorrow. Sorry. No, that's not true, but it is hard to keep track when you're on the other side of the planet in a different hemisphere. And anyway, I guess we don't have to worry about the World Cup again for a while. They're going to keep playing it, I guess, even though the United States is no longer in it. I don't know how much interest there will remain in this country for the tournament now that the U.S. women are out.
Yes.
Padres on Saturday night. Had we done, people said, oh, Ben and Woods need to get on the air and do a special show. I would love to wake up Sunday morning to a special edition of Ben and Woods. Would have been a fun show to do. And then we would have all looked like idiots talking about what a game-changing victory, what a statement by the San Diego Padres. They finally have turned the corner. They come back and win a game late. They beat the Dodgers. They exercise the demons and the Kershaw meme and whatever that they needed to get out of their system. And I'm sure they're going to just take off like a rocket after Saturday night's win.
It was a fun 12 hours. Yeah, it was, I saw the same tweet. I was very touched by that tweet, but I also thought, well, this could backfire spectacularly, and I also thought, well, we've got 4 hours. We can break it down for you on Monday. So that's what we are here to do. But yeah, nice to get in the win column on Saturday. Certainly that was a fun time for a while.
There were a couple of clutch hits, certainly, especially in the 7-run rally in the 8th inning, but to me, the Dodgers did more to give away that game, like the Padres did
the night
Friday,
before,
with walks, and they had the error on the Soto little chopper. What it really underscores for me, though, is how unbelievable it is that the Padres have not won more of these close games late during this season. Because honestly, you don't need to do anything to win some of those games in Major League Baseball. Other teams will give you games occasionally. You
put it in play.
You couldn't
basically
stop them from giving away games.
You couldn't.
You should have had about 5 to 10 of those already this season. The fact that this was the first time all year that the Padres trailed by 2 or more runs in the 8th inning and won a game is mind-boggling. Because again, you could be the least clutch team of all time, and other teams will give it to you occasionally.
In a season rife with mind-boggling baseball stats from our beloved San Diego Padres. And the list is long. Haven't won 4 games in a row. Haven't been above 500 since May. Haven't won, in extra inning. That's 3 right there. That 4th one right there, that's the Mount Rushmore of crap stats.
1 out of 10 extra inning games. Someone should just give it to you. A pitcher comes in, he can't find the plate.
Yeah, he walks a bunch of guys.
You don't have to do anything to win some of these games in baseball. And honestly, on Saturday night, the Padres didn't need to do much. Manny's hit was big.
Yeah, it was huge.
You know, at the right time, hit it hard through the hole. Could have gone right at someone, though. I mean, the way the luck for the Padres has been this season, I'm kind of surprised.
How many of those extra inning games have they been at home where you have the chance, right? You get the top half of the inning, you get out of there unscathed. You need one hit.
Or a fly ball in a couple of cases. Yeah, man.
A blooper, anything. A wild pitch. You don't have to do anything on a wild pitch. It happens all the time. And yet, for the Padres this season, it hasn't happened at all.
And
until Saturday night.
That's the hope that keeps you coming back, is that the script will eventually flip and things start going their way. And, you know, you saw some of that a little bit on Saturday night. And, man, that felt good. It felt absolutely fantastic to get a couple of calls, to get the ball off the bag, to get all kinds of things that fell in your favor. You know, them leaving pitches up, them walking guys. But, yeah, it was not – look, it's nice to get a win with Blake Snell on the bump and you know, the offense coming to life a little late and see a little bit of fight from this team.
Still need a contestant for Take on Woods. If you want to get online, now's the time. Go right to the front, 833-288-0973. We're less than 3 minutes away from our game. A couple of other notes. Had a couple more arguments in that game on Saturday night. Ruben Niebla was ejected. Now, I thought he was going out and arguing the balk that had just happened when Blake Snell was trying to change the pitch on the pitch comm. And, you know, he was going, what am I supposed to do? This is how I call a pitch. And you call me for a balk. Apparently, Niebla said something about the check swing that was not ruled against the Dodgers earlier in the inning. And that is actually what got him thrown out of the game. Manny also argued badly after he got what he believed was quick pitched. I mean, he did. They threw the pitch at 9 when he wasn't quite ready for it, and you're not supposed to do that. I mean, we see the umpire doing that, point at their eyes, point at the pitcher warning all the time, and they didn't give Manny the courtesy there of that. He did not get ejected. Fortunately, he was still around for the comeback, but that was one that we could have been talking about. Similar, you know, what's going wrong with the Padres things until that 7-run rally in the 8th inning. You have no comments on that?
Yeah, you were on a roll. I was letting you cook.
That's good. Also, the bullpen, the Padres did some things well, including 4 shutout innings from their bullpen. Steven Wilson, 2 from Nick Martinez, 1 from Ray Kerr.
Yep.
Bob Melvin also saying that just because Nick Martinez pitched 2 innings on Saturday doesn't preclude him from starting tomorrow's series opener in Seattle when the Padres still have the TBA there. If he doesn't pitch today, you'd probably figure that Nick Martinez is in line to get the start and go another 2 or 3 innings possibly as they look to maybe even stretch him out and start him more down the stretch with Joe Musgrove on the shelf for at least a month. It looks like they may need Nick Martinez to step back into the starting rotation.
Yeah, Manny and Soto, big nights on Saturday. Exactly what you needed from those guys. Croney, another 2-hit day for him, knocked in a run. Grisham had a really nice night, really clutch 2 RBI knock too to pile on there. So yeah, I mean, that's what you want to see from this team. That's what they're capable of doing. And it's unfortunate that it's not more consistent.
Yeah, Jake continuing to roll.
Yep.
His hitting streak is still alive, as is Ha-Seong Kim. What is he at 12 games now after
13,
yesterday?
maybe.
13 now after yesterday. So Padres are getting production from other places. Gary Sanchez deeper in the lineup. Haven't seen a ton yet from G-Man Choi or
Garrett Cooper. He had a knock. He had one knock. So, I mean, you know, that I think they're going to get more from the DH position as well. A lot of chances, man, to get back into it yesterday, going back to yesterday's game. Lots and lots of chances. G-Man Choi came up with a pretty good chance, get it back with one swing. And, that's what you need. You're going to need some clutch hits sooner than later because that 6-1 just did not feel out of reach to me at all. It just didn't. With Lance Lynn on the bump, he has given up a lot of home runs this year, of course. Comes into Petco Park and locks it down. But yeah, a tale of 2 games, certainly a tale of 2 bullpens. We'll talk about our bullpen meltdown on Friday night sooner than later.
All right, I see contestants on the line. Let's get to it. It is time to play Take on Woods. All right, Art, not just a subject I did poorly in school. He is also our contestant for Take on Woods. I was not good. I'm not artistic. Hello, Art. How are you?
Not bad. Morning, guys.
Morning. All right, Woodsy's left the studio. You have a chance today to qualify for a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and tickets to Cool and the gang going to be residencying at the Westgate Las Vegas Resorts International Theater through next year. Check out the newly redesigned room, $70 million room renovations. Just go to Ticketmaster.com for your Cool and the Gang tickets. But if you can win or tie Woods, we'll put you into the drawing for our monthly grand prize. And here are your categories, Art. Got the Bible Belt, songs with southern states in the title. Line by Line, 5-song titles, all with the word line in the title. And So Long, Farewell, which is 5-song titles that include the word goodbye. So the Bible Belt, Line by Line, or So Long, Farewell.
I'm going to go with Line by Line.
Line by Line. All right. It's as simple as it gets. 5-song titles. They each include the word line somewhere in the title. You'll have 60 seconds. If you don't know an answer, you can say pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. First question's our 2-second song. Paulie will play a little music for you. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that point. Then Woodsy comes in. We compare scores and see how you did. Art, you ready to play?
Ready to play.
All right, category is line by line, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck on a Monday, Art. Let's play Take on Woods.
Pass.
Johnny Cash promises to be a good husband to new wife June Carter in which classic 1956 tune?
Pass.
Jerry Rafferty sings It Was You, Woman, in which 1978 follow-up hit to Baker Street?
Down the Line.
I need more.
Pass. Go to the next one.
Robin Thicke was found liable for copyright infringement because which hit sounded a little bit too much like Marvin Gaye's Gotta Give It Up?
Oh, man.
Tom Petty sings the verses while George Harrison, Jeff Lynne, and Roy Orbison trade off the choruses in which final track from the Traveling Wilburys debut album?
I say give him the one.
All right. Well, you got
He
it's
knew the
right
song.
down the line. You said down the line, but we'll give you the 1
I think
point
he
there.
knew it.
Just to make this a challenge for Woods. I think he's going to crush this category, though. The 2-second song was Hold the Line by Toto. I Walk the Line. There's no chance he misses that one. Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke and End of the Line. I think he gets that one, too, by the Traveling Wilburys. We'll see. We'll see. Category didn't work out that well for Art today. Check and see how it goes for Mr. Stephen Woods, who re-enters the studio, takes his position. Puts the headphones back on. Paulie resets the music. Let's put 60 seconds back on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the Matoons. Let's take on the Matoons.
The Matoons.
I was going to say music again, but I wanted to change it up.
Switched it up. Don't get fancy.
Just play.
All right,
just go.
Matoons. Hold the line, Toto.
Correct. Johnny Cash promises to be a good husband to new wife June Carter in which classic 1956 tune?
Walk the Line.
Correct. Jerry Rafferty sings It Was You, Woman, in which 1978 follow-up?
Right down the line.
Correct. Robin Thicke was found liable for copyright infringement.
Blurred Lines.
Correct. Tom Petty sings the verses, while George Harrison, Jeff Lynne, and Roy Orbison trade off on the choruses, in which final track from the Traveling Wilburys debut album?
I can hear it in my head. It is,
you know what word should be in it.
yeah, line is in it. Holding the line?
Ah, no. You already got Hold the Line on Toto.
Holding the line.
End of the line.
End of the line.
End of the
At
line.
end
4
of the
though is a
line.
4-1 win over Art today, and a good start to the week for Woodsy.
Art, more like fart.
Art, try again next time. We'll have a new game for you tomorrow with a new category thrown
Had to
into
do
the
it.
mix.
Sorry, Art. I love you. Thanks
Some
for
new
playing.
Matoons.
Yeah, the Matoons.
Tomorrow. Some Matoons tomorrow. Take on Woods, the Matoons.
That was great.
So ESPN is in the crosshairs.
Oh, yes,
Come
they
on,
are.
dude.
For Don't Do This. Last night's broadcast. Just not fun.
It's terrific.
If you were a Padres fan, and not just because of the final score.
No, it's horrific in every way. So yeah, they're gonna go on blast for sure, as they usually do anytime you have to watch them.
Segment of Ben and Woods brought to you by the Golf Mart. We'll be right back after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. We got the four-letter network in the crosshairs today on Don't Do This. You know what, Woodsy? I wish, like on Friday or on Saturday, the Padres game was on FS1, but you could still watch the local broadcast with Don and Mud.
Yeah.
And when the game was on Apple TV, you could switch the audio to Jesse and Tony, and it was matched up perfectly on the television.
Much harder to do.
When it's on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, that's a difficult trick.
It is.
So I ended up watching the game last night, like I'm sure most people did that weren't at the Sunday night game, and I was fully expecting what I saw, but it doesn't make it any less aggravating the way ESPN treats the broadcast, and especially the Dodgers anytime they're taking on the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of know it's coming, and it is what it is, but that's what this segment's for, to have a little fun with the guys at ESPN. You know, Lord knows they get paid well enough to take a little bit of grief from time to time. So let's start with Eduardo Perez and the Fernando Tatis Jr. narrative that he spawned out of nowhere in the middle of the game. Now, Fernando Tatis Jr. is mired in a bit of a slump, but Fernando Tatis Jr., you were just telling me, at 3 balls last night of expected batting average of what? About 800 or something?
500, at least
500.
3 over 500, 1 at 900.
1 at 900. So,
nothing fell in.
Hitting the balls hard.
Yeah.
Nothing to show for it.
He's also taking some bad swings.
Yeah,
As anyone in a slump generally does. You're trying to swing your way out of it.
Yep.
And he did take a big walk, obviously, in the 8th inning on Saturday night, which was great.
Huge walk, yeah.
But ultimately, to get out of the slump, he's going to need to swing, and that's led to some chasing of sliders outside the zone.
Well, and it's led to narrative spinning by Eduardo Perez.
And he is playing with the same amount of confidence. Has some of the swag been knocked off a little bit? Do you think he's playing with that same level of brashness, confidence?
No, I don't think he is. He answered right. That's what he's supposed to say. But look, they took a lot away from him. Playing shortstop, you're in the play, you're the captain of that infield. That's an elite position. He was an elite player with serious numbers as a shortstop. And when he signed that major deal, it's because he was a shortstop, not a right fielder. Now he's had to learn a new position. And not only that, he's also not leading off. And I think he identified with being that guy, the leadoff, the spark plug. And those two toys, shortstop and leadoff, have been taken away from him.
All right, so here's the thing, and Eduardo Perez knows the backstory of Fernando Tatis Jr. He knows the injuries, that he knows the suspension. He knows all of that. I wonder if he knows that it was Fernando Tatis Jr.'s idea to move to the outfield originally. It was his idea. His quote was to management, "If I get hurt, it's going to be on the dirt," as he was dealing with his wrist, his shoulder, etc. Right? These are things that maybe you couldn't know if you weren't here and following the team every day. I'll give you a pass for that one. But he's also a former big leaguer. He also knows that slumps happen. It's hard. Is he walking around the same? Is his body language a little bit defeated from time to time? Sure. As it would be when you're hitting balls on the nose and they're not falling in. It's frustrating. I try to tell my 5-year-old all the time, yes, you're confident now. This game will kick you in the nuts over and over and over and over for the rest of your life. It does it to Mike Trout. It does it to Shohei Ohtani. It does it to everybody. And right now, it's happening to do it to Fernando Tatis Jr. He has taken the direction of the San Diego Padres and has turned himself into a Gold Glove right fielder, period. If he doesn't win the Gold Glove this year, I'll be shocked. As good as he's played with the arm that he possesses, he's having fun out there. Does he not see him run?
I mean, think about it. Soto was a nominee in right field last year.
I mean, that's ridiculous. And you see Fernando Tatis Jr., when the game starts, what does he do? He runs out to right field, gets the crowd hyped up. He doesn't shuffle his feet out there, kicking the dirt. He's in a slump. It happens. It happens to the best of them. So to say that they took his toys away and he's pouting and that's why he's slumping is absolutely false. And it's a little bit dangerous.
I was going to say, it's irresponsible.
It's irresponsible.
We all expected a learning curve this year for Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field. We were okay with it. Hey, if by the end of the season Tatis can
be average,
can get himself up to being an average right fielder, that will show an incredible dedication, work effort, commitment to get to that point. He's the best right fielder in baseball.
No question.
After about 2 months in the position, it's really not much of a debate if you look at the numbers. had his best catch yet, 25% catch percentage. One of those ones where he took a perfect line, sprinted into the outfield gap, made a leaping, running catch of an absolute missile that he took away. I mean,
he really does everything. He has done everything right. And again, if you look at his numbers, they're not where he wants them to be. But again, you're talking about a guy that missed a ton of time.
Yeah,
he missed a ton of time.
Was anyone expecting him to put up his absolute best numbers after missing, a year plus, essentially, of baseball?
Let's put it this
makes
way.
No sense. He's done so much, I think, more than you almost could have expected.
Absolutely, and he's not the problem. He's not the problem with the San Diego Padres. He's a guy that I'm not really worried about finding his way out of a slump. I saw somebody tweet me yesterday, another terrible extension for AJ Preller, and I was like, "Look,
Tatis?
Yeah, I go, I don't know who you are. I didn't even respond. I mean, I can't respond to stuff like
I'll
that.
be looking. How about this? When the 2024 the MVP odds come out, I will be looking at a hopefully long shot Fernando Tatis Jr. and putting some money on that because I think that's going to be a great bet for next year after he comes off a healthy offseason without a suspension and can go into the season without missing 20 games.
He's been fantastic.
Without anything to worry about. I love the idea of him having an even bigger year next year.
And then staying on Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, luckily,
you didn't see this.
I was driving home.
I was watching. I cringed myself.
I was
Paulie said you were
screaming at the time.
I saw it later, and I went, "Oh, why am I not surprised?"
Have you seen the movie Anchorman?
Oh my God!
Say that again.
Have you seen the movie Anchorman? No, that's a Ron Burgundy. It's based on San Diego and news organizations within San Diego. It was a
yeah,
definitely. Kill me, Dad. Kill me now. Do they do this?
Yeah.
Do they if it's a Brewers outfielder? Are they like, hey, so beer? Do you like Laverne and Shirley? What? I'm 24 years old. Do you like Schlemazel? You don't know that bit?
We're talking to JD Martinez. So, JD, you joined the Dodgers. Have you been to the Hollywood sign yet?
Hey, what do you think about the Griffith Observatory? It's the dumbest bit of all time.
You stay classy, San Diego.
Please stop, man. You have, again, one of the most exciting players in baseball. He's out there. You got him for a few minutes.
Mic'd up during
and you're
going
to ask him about mother effing Anchorman.
There were a few legitimately funny moments from that movie. It's not an all-time classic.
Yeah, in 2004.
By any stretch of the imagination.
20 years old. It's not The Godfather. Like, what are we doing here?
Dude. It's such a power down.
Okay, let's poll the three of us. Do you think Fernando Tatis Jr. has seen Anchorman?
Absolutely.
He said he did at some point, or at least
based on that answer,
acknowledged that he said, "Oh yeah."
Absolutely.
But he was just trying to get them to move on.
Organizations within San Diego. It was a
totally. Yeah. It's like me and my wife asked me if I'm going to take out the garbage. Yeah. I'll get it. I'll do it. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm so over it. I'm so over it at this point. It just is like,
we pulled that.
It's so tired.
We pulled
man.
that video clip off of Twitter, and I think the original post just said faking your way through a conversation until it ends.
Yeah. Sure.
100%. No, yeah. Now I remember.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. The guy, he did the thing. Yeah. I got you.
It's like Woods and Adam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will. Totally. Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see that?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, the bad news is that we all want the Padres to make the playoffs, of course. When they get there, they'll probably draw ESPN for the first round,
I'll
have to
take
sit
it
through
at
it
this
again.
point. I'll
I
just
know.
watch it on mute.
That's you know what? Let's just move on. Don't do this for ESPN on a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we'll come back. We haven't talked about Friday. I added it to the list, by the way. Agonizing games that the Padres have lost this season.
Yeah.
The ever-growing list has been in
19
Priest
now?
by 1. I have 19, but if you include other people's lists, it's now up to 23 of agonizing losses. Hey, and like 2 or 3 inspiring wins now to go with it as well. Talk about that coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Grand Jetto's Farm and Garden Supply is teaming up with 97.3 The Fan to give one lucky listener the chance to win a luxury suite for 20 people to the upcoming home baseball game on Monday, September 18th versus Colorado. Visit 973thefan.sd.com/garden for details and enter to win. I think, if I'm being honest, while yesterday's game was frustrating, it was Friday's game that was much more problematic for the Padres, and not simply because they blew a 3-1 lead in the 7th inning and wasted a really good start by Yu Darvish, another quality start that goes down as an L.
He was so good.
Somehow the Padres can't seem to convert those. I know Woodsy's especially concerned about a couple of elements that he saw from that night's game involving Fernando Tatis Jr. and involving Joe Kelly. We'll talk about that after a check at traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Still a few rough spots out here. Westbound 54 at Woodman. Tow truck is on scene of a collision, not showing if lanes are blocked. Accident on northbound 163, just past Friars Road. It's over the right shoulder. We still have this accident blocking the right lane on northbound 805, right past Claremont Mesa Boulevard. And some tough times out of Santee, westbound side of the 52, clearing an accident near Mass Boulevard. And Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Friday night, Padres again led 3-1 after 6, 3-2 after 7. Robert Suarez comes in the 8th inning and is I think one pitch away from a scoreless inning, so close, and ends up allowing 5 runs. And that was on him. Couldn't find the strike zone, walked 3 batters, gave up a couple of hits, and the Padres go down eventually to a 10-5 loss to the Dodgers in the series opener on Friday.
I was getting texts left and right about why wouldn't you leave Yu Darvish in? And those are the ones where I was like, I can't believe I have to explain this now, but I'll do it here. You pissed and moaned all year about not having Robert Suarez back. And Robert Suarez is your what?
Setup man. 8th inning guy.
For whom?
For Josh Hader, the closer.
So AJ in the offseason gave Robert Suarez how much money? Like $30 million over 2 years or
By
something?
the way, it shouldn't matter how much money a guy makes.
Right, but I'm saying,
is he the right guy for the inning or not?
Right, and he
was.
was.
Had a textbook plan to draw up a game.
That was it.
Would it not be 7 strong, efficient innings from Yu Darvish?
Yes.
Robert Suarez in the 8th.
Josh Hader in the 9th. Yeah, it's a close.
But had Robert Suarez been pitching well going into that game?
Yes,
very well.
So, again, I those are the ones where I look and I go, look, that's a manager's dream. You got everything you needed from you. You don't want him to go through the Dodgers lineup for a 4th time. Play that tape forward. Hey, but he needs to be at 100 pitches. Okay, fine. He was so friggin' efficient. He got through 7. He did his job so well.
Now, had maybe Suarez been used the previous 2 games, or Hader had been used the previous couple of games, you might squeeze another inning out of Yu Darvish there rather than go with a lower leverage guy out of the bullpen. But when you got your top 2 guys ready to go,
ready to rock,
and ready to put right into the roles that you have slotted them in for, it's very hard to complain about that decision by Bob Melvin.
You've got 9-1-2 there, okay? If you wanted to get Yu Darvish against Kike Hernandez, fine. One more batter. What's the difference? Give Bob Suarez the 8th.
Put it this way.
That's his inning.
Who would Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman rather face? A Yu Darvish for the 4th time in his 90 to 100th pitch, or a fresh Robert Suarez throwing 100 miles an hour coming out of the bench?
That's their 4th look at Yu Darvish.
They would rather face Yu Darvish.
Every day.
You're playing into the Dodgers' hands if you leave Yu Darvish into the game. I fully believe that.
It's got you locked up. It's got you exactly what you want. It's playing out exactly as it should have until Kike Hernandez singles. You walk Mookie Betts. You get Freeman on a line out. You strike out Will Smith. And you're pitching fairly well to David Peralta. And you've got him set up too. You throw a 101 on the black. He drops the head down the line. Next thing you know, game's tied. Now, at that point, the one thing I looked at is I said, well, I probably would not have walked the very light hitting Jason Hayward. But again, you're going to play a matchup there. You go down 2-0 to him. You're like, you know what? Let's not
decide to do it right away.
Right.
It was only after he was now behind in the count. Hitters count with the lefty up there, I think that's a very defensible decision as well.
Yep. So they walked Hayward and then very unintentionally walked Chris Taylor, and there's your go-ahead run, and it sucked. And again, I'm going to – people are going to, and I don't care. Bob Melvin, in that moment, he had it set up perfectly for him. If the guys just go out and execute like they're supposed to do your job. You have the 8th inning. Get 3 outs in the 8th inning. Do your job. Turn it over to Josh Hader. Josh Hader in the 9th. Do your job. Do your job. Bob Melvin did his job. He put the right guys in the right spots to succeed, period. That's what their roles are. They're fresh. They're rested. They're healthy. You cannot lose the zone. You cannot put guys on. Then Cosgrove comes in. Holy smokes. I saw people, well, you should have put Cosgrove in to face Freeman. Did you watch Tom Cosgrove, that outing? Couldn't find the zone. Then you put in, you should have gone with Scott Barlow then. Well, you brought Barlow in. He was terrible. Again, every time that phone rings down there, it's just a matter of what gas can do I want to use tonight? Which one do I want to pick?
It's too bad that they're not always bad, because then you just get rid of them. But they're good enough that you can't really get rid of them either.
You have to keep going back to them because, well, you don't have anybody else. Now, I saw people claiming, hey, look what Dave Roberts did. He used his closer for a 4-out save. Sure, absolutely. But from everything that I've been told, that's just not something Josh Hader is going to do. So I almost want to say you got to get it out of your head until the playoffs, maybe. You also got to think, listen, guys in a walk year too. So yeah, don't pitch me more than 1 inning, more than 3 outs.
I can see that being a problem.
Sure.
And that's a totally different conversation.
It's a totally different conversation. You had it set up exactly the way you wanted.
That's not Bob Melvin. That's not our problem that he's in a walk year.
Correct. It's not. It's not our problem. You need to use your guys. But again, if he comes to you, if I go to Adam and tell him I'm not comfortable doing this, and he says, sorry, you're under contract. How's that going to work out with me? You know what I mean? It's not going to go well for him.
And, give credit to David Peralta. He took, as you said, a really good pitch and put the bat on the ball, and it went down the line where someone couldn't get it.
It just sucks. You had it exactly the way you wanted it.
It's not always a mistake by your team that loses a game. Sometimes the other team does something special.
For sure.
But I thought that was just like Bryce Harper in the playoffs.
But having guys on via the walk and things like that, that you just can't have free passes. You can't walk in runs, Tom Cosgrove. You can't do what Scott Barlow did. We cannot have it at this time of year in games like that. And the fall apart, it was just so horrible to watch. Now, go back to the Joe Kelly incident.
I was upset at the 8th inning. I was more upset at what happened than was it the 4th inning?
Yeah, was it the 4th?
It was it that early?
No, it was it?
I thought Kelly pitched he was like the second guy up.
It was like the 6th.
Well, it doesn't really matter exactly when it happened. I'll figure it out, but it was Fernando Tatis Jr. at the plate with Joe Kelly. Always
he's a colorful guy.
A colorful, fiery sort of guy out on the mound, throws very hard, and I got one up and in. We've seen that a lot with Fernando Tatis Jr. at the plate.
It was the bottom of the 5th
this season. All right, bottom of the 5th.
Padres
inning.
leading 2-1. Joe Kelly comes in, and he goes in at first, and then he goes up and in for the second one. Tatis is pissed. I thought it got him. I thought it got him on the hands, and he kind of hit the ground and slapped his helmet away. Damn it, man! That one was heat. And then of course Kelly paints. Didn't paint.
Now was he frustrated that
he was frustrated?
He hit the bat too. That it wasn't even a ball. He had a ball thrown at him. He got out of the way, and he didn't even get a ball out of it. He got a strike out of it because it hit the knob of the bat.
So this has been happening a lot. It's happened to many players on our team, not just Fernando Tatis Jr., but I think him specifically.
It's happened pretty much since he got here.
He's been knocked down a lot, and now guys are taking it upon themselves to police the game of baseball because he used Clostebol. And I saw a lot of Dodger fans say, "Well, Joe Kelly hates cheaters," and Joe Kelly played for the Red Sox.
We haven't gotten to one more detail in this. After he got the strikeout.
After he gets the strikeout, and again he got 100 to the face. All he had to do was throw it down the middle. At that point, he's pretty much done for. And he does, just pipes it down the middle. Tatis watches it, walks back to the dugout. Kelly turns around, calls him an effing B. And, man, they got that on tape. And when asked about it after, Fernando. Maybe Fernando was playing the long game here, but he was like, oh, no, I love Joe Kelly. He's a badass. He's a total G. He's old school. And here's me at home just beating my head against the wall. It's one thing to compete. It's one thing to know these guys off the field. And I'm not saying you got to fist fight everybody. I'm not even saying you have to go and hit somebody for that, but you should pitch inside as well. You should make guys as uncomfortable as the Dodgers make you in your own home and do that. Like play with a little bit of that intensity and that. Mookie Betts should have his feet moved. Again, not saying to throw at Mookie Betts' head. I don't want to see that. I like Mookie Betts. Don't say that. I like him. He's a great baseball player, but he should not be able to get in there. What am I sitting on today? Right? Like move his feet, move Freddie's feet, move Will Smith's feet. Don't be afraid to throw inside because nobody's afraid to throw inside on you ever. Manny wore 98 to the back. At some point, somebody and that pitching staff is going to go, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Not saying you need a benches clearing brawl. I'm just saying, please show your teammates you care about them.
I don't really know what the numbers show. I guess you're going anecdotally. You feel like other teams throw inside on the Padres more than they throw inside on other teams.
Well, I know we get a lot of guys hit and a lot of guys knocked down, and specifically Fernando Tatis Jr. over the course of his career, that up and in pitch, what has led to him doing the thing where if it's in, he just drops his bat. Because think about it. If it hits your hand and the bat is attached to it, it's going to hurt a hell of a lot more than if it just hits your loose hand. So I don't blame him at all for dropping that bat at 100 to the face. I don't. So I just, at this point, man, people come in and impose their will on you in your own home. And it's just a tough thing to watch. It's a tough thing to stomach as a fan. And I think some of the players, it would go a long way knowing, hey, we got your back. You're not going to be able to come in here and be as comfortable as you want. You want them to be as uncomfortable as your players are made to feel, in my opinion.
I'm trying to look up the stats. Padres are in the bottom third of hit by pitch per game, but I don't know.
Well, he didn't even get hit by the pitch.
I don't know if that is getting hit or if that means hitting the other team. It doesn't say whether it's an offensive or defensive stat. That's always the trick. Which one are you talking about in terms of are they throwing? I mean, the Padres hit guys as well. They certainly have. I just don't know whether it's a false narrative or it's just true, or you're just pointing out the one example.
I know for a fact we've had this conversation on this show 10 times over the last few years.
Yeah,
minimum.
Well, and that alone is the conversation. The fact that the conversation happens and nothing's ever really happened.
You can go as far back as Dave Roberts punking Andy Green,
of course,
in Petco Park.
Of course,
you know what I mean? Like they have pushed us around for so long.
Yep.
But it's not just the Dodgers and Joe Kelly. I know I've seen Tatis get brushed back constantly. He is always going to the dirt,
always on his ass.
And that's a problem.
And that's what you'd think it would be.
Should be a problem.
It should be a problem. So I don't know. I mean, again, it's the comments after the game about how great Joe Kelly is from Fernando could be just playing the long game, giving him a false sense of security. If Paulie asks me about other media members on the record, I'll probably tell you the same thing off the record. I think you guys know how I feel. So I think maybe that's it. You don't want to put something like that out there. But, at some point, you do need to defend your guy, and you do need to be a team. And again, not calling for anybody to get hit even. I'm calling for our pitchers to pitch inside. Move somebody's feet every now and then. Not going to hurt you. It's how you can be successful, is moving guys' feet. Not letting them dig in up there and get super comfortable and sit on whatever pitch they want to. It's tough to watch.
Remember,
for a fan.
The Padres have had pretty much the best success in keeping other teams from scoring all year.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're getting run over by opposing offenses because they're not pitching inside enough.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about.
They're getting guys out.
That's not what I'm talking about.
They're doing their job on the mound.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I know that's not what you're talking about.
It's not even close to what I'm talking about. It comes from being a part of a team and letting yourself get punked over and over and over. Sliding into third base for Mookie Betts, standing up and dancing right in front of Manny. Now, I know they're boys, and that's fine. It's fine to have you play against your buddies. I play against my buddies all the time. But man, there's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it. And it feels like the Padres are always the one in the crosshairs for, they hit a home run, they watch it, everyone gets mad. Manny wears 98 to the back. Kike Hernandez up 6 runs, slides in the second, and he's dancing and turning to center field. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So everything's fine unless we do it. But again, what you're not doing is you're not showing your teammates, I got your back, dude. 100 to the face it should not happen.
Is it easier for the Dodgers to, as you say, punk the Padres at Petco Park because they have such a large contingent of their own fans backing them up? At least they did this weekend. By the way, they didn't punk the Padres in the playoffs when it was, 95% Padres fans, but they have done it consistently in the regular season when their fan base has consistently come in very large numbers down to San Diego, which leads us to something I want to talk about in the second half of the program, and that is some comments by Jake Cronenworth that I think were overblown by some of the fan base this weekend.
I think people got very sarcastic with it. I don't know how many people are genuinely mad about it.
Asking for, the support of Padres fans. No one can argue how much support Padres fans have given their team this year, but I think you can at least make the case that when the Dodgers are in town, it's a very different atmosphere at Petco Park than it is at any other game. And there's really only one team that has dominated the Padres in Major League Baseball, and it is the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll talk about that coming up. Jordan Shusterman will join us from Cespedes Family Barbecue. I'll guest on Ben Woods up here on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Hour number 3 of Ben Woods next on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home on a Monday. Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. Good morning to all of you guys. Shaping up to be another beautiful day in America's finest city. Got the game at 1:10 today. Is that right? 1:10. Going to be heading down after the show. My best friend in the entire world, man, probably like 1A, is coming from Wichita, Kansas, and he's bringing his entire family. They're landing at the airport. They're going straight to Petco Park. So I'm going to go down there and meet him, watch a little bit of the game.
Gonna get your Padres straw hat giveaway.
Yeah,
today.
I'm probably not going to, but I'll what more for you because
You got to get one for Ben.
He's got one.
I've got one.
That's right.
He's got one. So I shan't be taking one. That's the kind of person I am. I'm going to leave it to others to have because it's not
such a servant's heart.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a
because
giver.
it's only the first 40,000 fans. You'd feel bad if fan 40,001
one, and then there's
one,
some media schlep
and you didn't get one
that has one, and I'm good. It doesn't look good on me at all, so I'm not. I already have a hard enough time to where I'm not going to add something that makes me not look at my best, in my opinion. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, is our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
To my left is Benjamin Higgins, a big fan of the straw hat. But
I love the wide brim for good shade on a sunny summer San Diego afternoon, which is a rare afternoon Monday start for the Padres today.
I'm very, very excited to see my buddy. He is the greatest. We played in bands together when we were in middle school and early in high school. He's the funniest guy I know. He's got his whole family with him, so he's probably gonna have to dial it back a little bit, which is good because we hit it pretty hard when I was out in Wichita last year. In case you missed that story, it was a pretty good one. But no, it's going to be so great to see him. They're staying up, got an Airbnb up in Oceanside, so right on the water. So as soon as the show's over tomorrow, going to be heading back up there and hanging out at the beach with his kids, my kids all day. It's pretty cool that he's coming to town. We'll get to show off our spectacular city to him. So very, very excited to see him. It's good for the soul seeing an old friend like that.
That is. It's always good to catch up with someone you haven't seen in a while, and you're glad that he won't be going quite as hard. As you went.
I mean, he's got like
on a trip
four
where you ended
kids
somewhere on the side of the road between Wichita and Kansas City, if I remember correctly, broken down and in need of a restroom that didn't exist.
Yes, I had to do my business on the side of the road.
Not the easy
business. It was the rough. It was about 3/4 of a bottle of Jack Daniels got me the night before, and was on my way to Kansas City to the Negro League Museum. Was going to see it for the first time ever and go to the Padres Royals game. And well, I had a flat tire and there was no shoulder, and it was 100 degrees on the side of the road, and duty called, literally. So I had to use a golf towel. It was the whole thing. It was really one of my worst days. It happens.
I wanted to bring up the comments that Jake Cronenworth made on Saturday night after the Padres come from behind victory over the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I'm not sure how serious fans were taking this, if they really did feel somewhat insulted. Obviously, Padres fans have been overwhelming in their support of this team this year. For an under 500 team to sell out virtually every game. I mean, what are they at? 25, 26 straight sellouts, almost 50, I think, for the season so far.
47 sellouts.
I mean, we're getting close to 50 sellouts already. They've crushed all attendance records, and by and large, 98% of fans this season have been cheering for the Padres. This weekend was a little bit different. In fact, you could say that I would argue that it was the highest percentage of opposing fans we've seen all year long at Petco Park, as Dodgers fans came down, and for whatever reason, some Padres fans probably were willing to give up some of their tickets. Maybe Dodgers fans just got in early. They made their plans at the beginning of the year, snatched up whatever single game tickets were available and made themselves heard.
Our boy Aaron says, I'm not sure if you guys know this, the Dodgers advertise tickets for the San Diego games on their network during the broadcast. They're actively telling people to buy tickets to come down to San Diego. Yeah, all right. It's weird, but works, I guess.
I mean, it's not like there's empty seats and Padres fans are not showing up.
No, they're just
they're all full. Is it simply that the Dodgers fans are looking further in advance and buying those? Are they buying them from secondhand from Padres fans?
The lower bowl is season tickets, right? I mean, if you have those seats that you can, if I can see your face on television, right, whether they pan to third base or whether they pan to first base or they pan behind home plate and even beyond the fancy seats, but that, the lower bowl area, that's where people buy season tickets. And so when you see it filled with Dodger fans, it means they sold their season ticket. Again, not going to tell you how to make your money. Do whatever you want.
This is what Jake Cronenworth, though, had to say at the end of Saturday night's game. This is from the UT. I think we wish that's how it was the whole game or every time we play them at home. I know their fans travel really well, and it's just who their fan base is, obviously close to here, so it helps. But I think if there's one thing that I can say to our fans, like, we feel it when you get behind us. I'm talking to them. We feel it when you get behind us, no matter how close the game is, whatever the score is. Tonight, 3-1 in the eighth, leadoff base hit. We feel that. You guys help us build momentum just as much as us. So please do that more often. From Jake Cronenworth. I don't really have any problem with that. I mean, other than maybe the do that more often, the last few words of that quote. I've never seen a Padres fan base not get excited when the Padres are rallying and, putting together a come from behind rally or getting into it. What are you supposed to do if the Padres aren't doing anything offensively? There's no fan base in the world in baseball that is on their feet hooting and hollering after their own player, strikes out and there's two outs and nobody on. I mean, right? No one is.
You'll get them next time.
No
Great
one is
try.
No one is up.
Great
the
try.
The atmosphere is never electric. Hey, we're down 4-1. There's two outs. There's nobody on base. The 8-hitter is coming up. Let's make some noise. It doesn't happen in baseball.
I get it, but at this, the last thing I think you can point to this year, if you're the San Diego Padres players, the very last thing you can point, I would buy it if you said the weather at the beginning of the season was really tough and it was foggy and the marine layer was very thick. And if you said that,
those idiots on the morning show just had me completely off base. I wasn't sure.
They've blamed the ivy in center field. I'm like, okay, fine. The last thing you can say, the bottom of the list, Padres fans not doing it the right way. That's the last. That out of all the things, I don't even want to call them excuses, but the last group you should be at. You could say the ball is dead. It's a dead ball. And I'd say, all right, I believe it. I absolutely believe that baseball is manipulating baseballs. We know it to be true. Fine. I'm behind you. My glove is stiff, which is why I've booted some balls. Okay. Oil it up. The ivy sucks. The marine layer's thick. The fences are too far back. It's too hot. It's too cold. It's too wet. I'm on base with all of those. The last thing in the world you need to talk about is the San Diego Padres fans who have shown up in droves. And yes, there were Dodger fans there. Yes, absolutely there were. Play better, and you won't hear them. You play better, you will not hear a word from them. They were streaming for the exits on Saturday night in the eighth inning, streaming. You can see them. Blue, walking up the aisle. They're done. They know their team's not coming back. They're done. So if you don't want to hear Dodger fans yell, play lights out. Knock them out. Beat the ass out of them. You won't hear a peep from a Dodger fan if you go out there and beat the crap out of them. So I love Jake. You know that. I don't think he was taking a shot necessarily. But again, when it comes down to things that you can point to while your season hasn't gone the way you wanted, I'd leave the Padres fans alone. I really would.
I'll also point out that while the Padres have only played the Dodgers, six times at home this season, their home record is 30-27. It's not like they've dominated at home.
The other teams,
when the other teams come and they don't bring a bunch of fans. The Padres have basically played slightly above 500 ball against everyone else as well at Petco Park when it has been sellout crowds.
There weren't 30,000 Pirates fans.
There were not.
Oh,
when they lost 2 out of 3, there were not. There were no.
I saw 4 Royals fans when we were there.
There were 40,000 Royals.
4. I saw 4. They were right in front of us. And I end up chewing. They're the nicest fans in baseball. End up chewing the fat with them about how great Bobby Witt is. And, my brother and he went to the same high school. It was fine. It was absolutely fine. So if you don't want to hear Dodger fans yelling, play better. Play better. I love Jake. Jake's my boy. But they're not the group I'm going to pin anything on this year. If you look at a Tuesday night game against the Cincinnati Reds and there are 43,000 people there, be tough for me to point. It's like me pointing the fingers at the tier ones.
It's similar to the dynamic when the Chargers used to play the Raiders down at Qualcomm Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, that you can't keep them all out. For whatever reason, Dodgers fans, a good chunk are going to find their way into the ballpark. And then when you know that as a Padres fan, it makes you a little bit less want to go to the game, right? I mean, you know what? I love going to Padres fans, but hey, I know there's going to be at least 5,000 Dodgers fans there, and they're going to make it less pleasant for me. Maybe I'll skip this one. So you end up selling your tickets, and guess what? Then you sell them to Dodgers fans. And now instead of 5,000, there's 7,000. And then other people go, oh, there's going to be a ton of Dodgers fans. And guess what they do? They say, hey, you know what? I can skip that one. And now instead of 7,000, there's 10,000 Dodgers fans. It kind of builds on itself. Every time there's Dodgers fans there, it makes Padres fans less want to go to the game, which makes it more easy for Dodgers fans to get into the game. It's that they call that a vicious circle.
Vicious circle.
It's a vicious circle.
Yeah, I mean, again, don't get your ass handed to you by the Dodgers almost every time they play you. Flip the script. Beat the crap out of them, and then no Dodger fan's going to want to come to Petco Park.
So if the Padres just pounded the Dodgers every time they
like the Dodgers do us, yeah.
You think Dodger fans would kind of stop coming?
I think eventually.
Games?
Absolutely.
That's the solution.
It's a solution.
You just got to own them at Petco Park.
100%. I'm not going to spend triple the price of a.
I mean, I don't think
so.
It
What
hurts,
is
unfortunately, Petco Park is always going to be a great place to go, and it's always going to be a very close road trip for Dodgers fans.
I get it. LA, but then conversely,
I'd rather go to Petco Park than Dodgers.
As would I.
Million times over.
If you ask me, Woodsy, why don't you go to Dodger games? Number one, the drive. Number two, the traffic. Number three, I don't like Dodger Stadium. I don't like Dodger fans. Their fans don't like us, and they make it pretty uncomfortable.
I don't want to get beaten in a parking lot.
Correct. So I'm good. Like I have no desire to go there.
But I don't want to be like them.
No, I don't want to be like them either.
I don't want to be dangerous, unhospitable fans that
beat their
make it
butts on the
unpleasant
field
for anyone who wants to visit Petco Park. That's not the solution.
Beat their butts on the field and do it like they've done it to us, and it flips the script on you. It does.
Got some thoughts? You can join us 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. A lot of
who did get beaten on the field.
Yes.
Tim Anderson.
He did. We got to talk about the fight over the weekend.
There's a lot to unpack.
And some comments about the culture of the Chicago White Sox that came out yesterday as well that are really interesting. I don't know. I know people talk about the Padres culture a lot. I don't know if anything is comparable, but it's an interesting story. We'll get into that. Then we'll talk with Jordan Shusterman at the bottom of the hour, all coming up with Ben and Woods. Let's check traffic. Be right back with more on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
much like you're seeing comments alluding to, what Jay Cronenworth said. You're still seeing it all over Twitter a couple days after the fact of, oh, well, maybe we wouldn't be down 6-0 if we had just cheered harder, right? Those are the things that can stick with a guy for a while. Ask Robin Ventura how his life has been since he went after Nolan Ryan and now Tim Anderson. I think Jake's going to be fine. I think that will probably blow over as it was not anything really spicy that he said. But for Tim Anderson, who has had a really, really rough year, I was unaware of some of the things going on in Tim Anderson's personal life. Did you guys know about this? He had a baby with another woman, and he's married, and she's having it, and it's come out, and he spoke about it publicly. It has not been a great season for Tim Anderson. He's woefully underperformed. He has been injured. He had the things going on in his personal life, and now he's never going to live this down. Jose Bautista can relate.
This was the biggest brawl since Odor and Bautista.
Yeah,
right?
And basically, somebody said the happiest guy today is Jose Bautista and Robin Ventura because they're off the hook for a little while. I swear to God, every day is the anniversary of that Robin Ventura thing. I think I see it once a day, 30 years ago today. I'm like, wasn't that last week? I swear people just retweet it as the anniversary every day. But what happened on Saturday night, Ben? Holy smokes. Baseball fights get a bad rap because then every now and then you see something like this that went down.
Jose Ramirez hits an RBI double, slides into second base. Tim Anderson kind of standing over him as Ramirez pops up, kind of gets into Anderson's face. After the game, Ramirez said, I think he's been disrespecting the game for a while. I was telling him to stop doing that after he tapped me really hard, more than needed. He said he wanted to fight, and I had to defend myself. That's the setup. Here's what it sounded like, though.
He just missed him at second base. This is another rocket of a throw, and now...
Oh, boy.
Now
oh, my goodness. Here come the benches. Off we go. It started with Anderson and Ramirez. Swings being taken. Kopech had to hold him back, and everybody's spilling out here in Cleveland.
It went on for a while, too. There was the initial fight at second base. Saw another video that went 2.5 minutes, and at some point, coaches started getting into it more towards home plate, and you hear Tim Anderson has ran back onto the field. He was back in the clubhouse, and he came out wanting more. It was absolute insanity.
Tim Anderson, he came out wanting more, but he didn't know what planet he was on. They showed this slow-mo of him getting kind of pulled off the field for a while, and he was as woozy. That right cross, uppercut, whatever, it hit him flush in the chin, and he hit the deck, and he was out. He knocked him out. It was I couldn't believe it. I thought they were boys. I almost thought for a minute they were just messing around. Certainly no
the umpire looked like a referee in a boxing match.
Did. He tried to get in, and then he's
I want a nice clean fight.
Well, speaking of boxing match, how about the call by Tom Hamilton, the play-by-play radio voice of the Cleveland Guardians?
Pretty brilliant.
He nailed it perfectly.
The diving Vaughn down the right field line, kicks into the corner. Ramirez on his way to second. Head first slide, safe, and in to score is Jimenez. And another hustle double. Right over the bag at first. Now Hosey and Anderson square off. They're fighting. They're swinging. Down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson.
It's unbelievably great. It is unbelievably great.
Now, who do you consider the instigator in that fight?
I think Tim Anderson, by dropping his gloves and putting his dukes up, said, let's go. I want to fight.
We don't know, I guess. We don't know if Ramirez, what he said, I guess.
He got up and said, I don't do that.
Yeah, don't stop. Stop doing that.
But Tim Anderson was the one who was kind of standing over him on the play. He was safe. Really no reason to stay there if you're the shortstop. You just safe. I walk away. But he didn't. He didn't walk away from it. So in that sense, Tim Anderson may have provoked Jose Ramirez, who then took it to the next level.
Forgive me for not knowing all the history in the AL Central, but somebody was tweeting me a couple of things. Anderson had slid really hard into, I think it was Ian Happ, and with his head and and then Anderson had done something where a guy slid in a second. Anderson took his glove and literally pushed his arm off of the base. So I think that's what Jose was talking about as far as like, you do a lot of stuff to disrespect the game and you don't play it the right way. So enough's enough. And then Timmy wanted to fight. So he dropped his glove, and I think he was the instigator.
I think what's clear is that both of these teams are in bad spots right now.
Oh, yeah.
The White Sox, I think going into that game, were 25 games under 500, out of playoff contention. They've got nothing to lose. Tim Anderson has nothing to lose to stir things up. Now, you can like what you saw from the Guardians, the fight, that Jose Ramirez showed, cold cocking Tim Anderson, knocking him to the ground. You'd think huge inspiration. Well,
here's what Terry Francona had to say after the game when he was asked about the fight.
What'd you think of Jose's left hook?
Right hook.
Right hook.
It's not funny. But when I came in, I'm listening to Hammy. It's hard not to chuckle. I mean, again, it's not funny, but boys will be boys.
It feels like, as someone who watches baseball, and we were talking about earlier, the Padres needing to stick up for each other, feels like Jose Ramirez made a statement for the Guardians.
For sure.
Stood up against the bully, Tim Anderson, for his team, laid him out. It's a moment they rally around. Well, they lost that game. They lost the next game. They've fallen 4.5 out, and they're pretty much seeing their season go up in smoke.
The Guardians?
The Guardians, yeah. Despite showing all the fight in the world and sticking up for their teammates and doing exactly what you want them to see, it doesn't necessarily help you win any baseball games is the problem. And the Guardians, what they need to do is win baseball games. They're kind of mad that their team, traded away at the deadline. They were within a game or two of the Twins. Now they're 4.5 games back and heading the wrong direction. I think, the Twins now have like an 85% chance to make the playoffs, and the Guardians only have like a 15 to 20% chance. And that's just in the last week. They were almost tied a week ago. So this is a team, despite looking like they got plenty of heart and plenty of, respect and stand behind each otherness, that they're going in the wrong direction. And you got to go out and you got to play baseball. Now they're facing a bunch of suspensions likely that it's only going to make it more difficult for them going forward. That's why I'm always hesitant when the solution to chemistry or culture problems is go out and fight the other team.
No one has even said fight. No one. I have never said fight.
I know.
I've never said.
I know, but other fans have.
I've never said get in a fight. What I have said is throw inside. Why are you afraid to throw inside? Throw inside. Move their feet. That's it. They do it to you. Do it to them. I said the other day, I tweeted, why wouldn't you come into Petco Park if you're an opposing team and say, throw inside? They're not going to do jackass about it. Even if we hit them with 98 in the back after a home run, they're not going to do jackass about it. Go out there, my pitching staff, impose your will on the San Diego Padres because they don't care. They're not going to do anything about it. Bust them in all weekend. They're not going to, trust me, they will not retaliate.
And I say, why would you change what you're doing that has worked so well this season as a pitcher?
Who?
Padres pitching has been fantastic this year.
Their starting pitching has been fantastic.
Right.
You're telling me Luis Garcia, who's been fantastic. Tom Cosgrove has been fantastic. On and on
so
down.
We got to wait until Luis Garcia gets into to throw at someone.
Pretty good time last night, down 6 runs. I'm not saying hit anybody.
To me, that's punk. If you're going to throw at someone,
Joe Kelly was losing.
Joe Kelly was losing when he threw at Fernando Tatis Jr. They were down.
Called him an effing bitch.
And then called him an effing bitch. Hey, who's okay with that? Who is okay with it? No, it's cool. That's good. I love it. I love it when people call me an effing bitch. I love it. It's the best. Anytime, come into my house, open my door, sit down, and they call me an effing bitch. It's not going to go well for you. It's not. That's how I perceive it. And I think, the fact that the Guardians aren't winning games right now, I don't know that it has anything to do with that fight. I think it's because baseball sucks and is hard, but also that's not going to hurt him, I don't think. I mean, but the suspensions could, absolutely.
I know it'll make you feel better, and you like to feel like they're standing up. I just don't know that it has any result on the field.
I don't know that it doesn't.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I don't know that it has any bearing on where you are in the standings or whether you win or lose a game.
So you can come here and do whatever you like, Ben, and we're not going to do anything about it. I don't roll that way. And
I think the Padres should try to hard as they can and get the other team out.
I think they should win the games. Absolutely.
And try to win the game.
Absolutely.
As much as possible.
But you lost that game.
And if it calls
you also lost that game.
Hey, if you can get someone out by throwing inside, getting Tatis out, that's great. But if you don't think that's the right strategy for a player, I don't think that just throwing inside is going to help anything.
Move somebody's feet is all I'm saying. You don't have to slug somebody like Ramirez and TA.
And are you saying that they don't? I mean,
yeah.
I don't think there's any stats that show the Padres throw inside less than other teams.
Who's the last player from an opposing team? You can hold on. No, hold on. Yeah, the slider. Ben, give me an effing break.
But they're throwing inside just because the guys don't throw hard. I mean,
when's the last time you saw an opposing player on his ass, backed up, like knocked off the plate? I can't remember a time. I cannot remember the last superstar that ended up on his rear end going, whoo, that was close. That was up. That was in.
Let's talk about this more with Jordan Shusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue. Going to join us. His weekly visit is coming up next with Ben Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. I think you're mad, Woods, because if the Padres did the same thing that Joe Kelly did, people would be calling the Padres cheap and Bush League. And when the Dodgers do it, they're gritty and Tatis, they respect them as gamers.
Yeah,
it's not the same playing field. If the Padres did the same thing, they'd be criticized for it.
Sure.
And the Dodgers are praised for it.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, the Dodgers.
That's what's frustrating.
Got praised for it by our own players.
Right.
So that's kind of a tough pill to swallow.
But the Padres wouldn't get praised for it.
Correct.
Just so you know.
Yeah, yeah.
If they throw inside tonight, they'll be called Bush League and minor league and learn to grow up. And trust me, you can't win. You cannot win when it's the Padres versus the Dodgers,
No.
at least in the media perception of what ends up being talked about. You will lose every single time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree fully. And, you hear a lot about from the national media and broadcasters and stuff about how, the Dodgers do things the right way and they don't celebrate. They just put their head down and run. And that's not the case. You saw it at Petco Park this weekend. And again, you don't have to fist fight him. I'm not saying Manny should have cold cocked Mookie Betts after he slid in the third on that triple and started wee dancing at third base. I mean, it made me sick to my stomach. If he did it, I would have understood. I absolutely would have understood.
I like Manny's chances. I mean, he's the Jose Ramirez in that fight
as
against
do
Tim
I.
Anderson, I think.
But I at this point, you need to win this game today. You need to get this split. So do what you got to do.
All right, we've got.
I know nothing's going to happen. So.
We've got Jordan Shusterman standing by, aka number one Pedro Avila fan. We'll get to him right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
We're not seeing much relief on our roads this morning, guys. Northbound side of the 805, an accident right before Imperial does not appear to be blocking lanes. Then up ahead before the 15, another crash. That one is over to the left shoulder. Southside Coastline, an accident near Encinitas Boulevard. That is over to the right shoulder. Also going to find on southbound 15 just before Deer Springs Road, a collision in the center divide. I'm Kelly Danick with Bentonwood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, it's a grand old Monday. Let's go out to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline, joined always by one of the two guys from Cespedes Family Barbecue. Today, it is Jordan Shusterman, and I say he's #1 Pedro Avila fan because that's what his username on our YouTube chat is right now. Good morning, Jordan.
Oh, yeah, it's so good to see you guys. Weird to have a little 4-game series into Monday. Still trying to parse that scheduling quirk. But it's been an interesting little stretch here for the Padres. I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Little wraparound, they call
Did
that.
the Dodgers
Friday
play
to
on
Monday.
Thursday?
I don't know. Yeah, they did. Yeah,
they played the A's.
They play the A's on Thursday, and then both have a getaway flight today. Padres are going to Seattle. Dodgers are going to Arizona, not far. So gave them an early game so they could get on a plane and get to where they're going tonight, I guess.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Now I know we'll probably be focusing a little bit more on the weekend, but as a Mariners fan, I gotta say these are some pretty big games coming up for my favorite team. So this is going to be. I know you guys are still focused on getting through today, which totally makes sense. But these teams are in very, very interesting positions right now.
Yeah, they really are. We're joined by our pal Jordan Shusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue on a grand old Monday. You guys sent the tweet of the weekend. Certainly don't know if it was you or Jake, but it is pretty amazing. All right, so bear with me here. Mets traded 5 players and are 0-6 since the trade deadline. The Reds acquired 1 reliever and are 0-6 since the trade deadline. The D-backs acquired a closer and an outfielder and are 0-6 since the trade deadline.
Closer who blew it yesterday, by the way.
Angels acquired 5 players and are 0-6 since the trade deadline. The Angels one is the one that has got to hurt the most. You had the ultimate chip. The ultimate chip, albeit a rental chip, certainly, but a really good one. A pitcher and a hitter in Shohei Ohtani. You decided to go for it. Show him how committed you are. They have not won a game since. Such is the life of an Angels fan, my friend. It is just brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. People frame that, and I sort of understand, show him how committed you are. I really viewed it as, regardless of whether it was the right move to keep him or not from an organizational standpoint, because it probably wasn't prudent or smart or thinking long term, like you were thinking about yourself, which is that like we have Shohei Ohtani on our team and we're not going to just go down without him no matter what, even if it is not a bad decision. So I think he's gone no matter what. I mean, I'll be happily proven wrong on that.
Sure.
But I think that they kind of owed it to just the general baseball space to just keep trying one more time, even if they were heading towards a cliff anyway. Whether they traded away their prospects or not, if he leaves, like, they are going to be in a bad place regardless. The reason why I sent this tweet, I mean, of course, the Angels and they're all very different situations. This is just a straight fact. This is not necessarily a commentary on what the trade deadline is or isn't. It's just a thing. And everyone's responded to me like, oh, well, what about this team? What about this team? What about this team? I'm like, listen, these 4 teams are 0-6 at the trade deadline. That is amazing when you consider all of their situations. And that is, I'm just putting it out there and you can interpret it as you may.
No, it really was. It was a brilliant tweet. Now, you're not saying don't make trades at the deadline. This is a dumb thing to do, because it's clearly not. Improving your team. It doesn't always translate, as we know here in San Diego. It doesn't always translate to immediate results, as we know. So, that's kind of what you hope for.
Yeah, well, and also, like, again, we're so quick on deadline day to declare our winners and losers.
A, B, C, D, F. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, here's the trade grade. Oh, they got this guy. Because when you get players or when you trade away players, you just, at least on deadline day, you assume, wow, well, they lost that and they added this known quantity. But, like, it's just not how it works, right? And so you could see some teams do bring in hitters and they immediately do great. Some teams bring in closers and they immediately blows games. Some teams trade away closers, like the Mariners. They trade away. Yesterday was an incredible encapsulation. You have Paul Sewald allowing 2 home runs to lose a game, and they're throwing out a guy in Taylor Saucedo, who no one's ever heard of, to throw 2 innings and get a save there. But that's what the Mariners have done. They can make that trade because they decide, hey, we know how to fill in this hole. And in other situations, you just have no idea how it's gonna work out. And obviously, Giolito has not been pitching well for the Angels. Flaherty looked great for Baltimore. Like this, there's going to be so many different versions of this, and it's so silly that we grade it both a week after the deadline and the day of the deadline. So long way to go for all these teams.
Jordan, Padres obviously have played better since the start of July. I think they're 18-12, and they certainly made up enough ground where they're now in the thick of the wild card race at 3 games out. But it's mostly because all the other National League contenders have been absolutely falling apart. As you look at those teams above them, I'm starting to think maybe the Cubs are the ones to worry about the most. They've actually played the best baseball since the All-Star break of anyone. What are you kind of seeing of those teams in front of the Padres in the wild card race right now?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the All-Star break. D-backs and Marlins, 2 worst teams in baseball since the All-Star break. I believe the D-backs like 5-17 or something. Marlins a little bit better than that. But that's what I could see it both ways, from your perspective, right? Because on one hand, it's like that's clearly helped the Padres. On the other hand, it's like they should have passed these teams 2 weeks ago. Like this is ridiculous. I mean, these teams are actively trying to plummet in the standings. Cincinnati also struggling big time right now. And yeah, you mentioned this. Is it really the Cubs? Is that the team we're going to be watching? I think the Phillies, I still am not sold on the Giants at all, but the Phillies I've seen enough where I feel like they are going to be right there, maybe at the top or in one of those top 2 wildcard spots. But then after that, man, I still just don't know. I still don't know. And the Cubs are also maybe competing for a division. Maybe Milwaukee ends up falling down. They're not too far behind in that version too. So I think we are a long way from really knowing what that group is going to look like. Do I think Cincinnati, Miami, and Arizona are all completely toast? No, that would be surprising considering how good that those teams have played for long stretches. I do think one of them will be able to hang around, but the equalizing has very much happened in the last month in a pretty dramatic way.
No, it's been wild. It's been wild to see what's happened with the Diamondbacks. And, the Phillies, I kind of agree with you. And then they go out and play like a 3-game stretch where I'm like, oh, yeah, they're not doing anything. Just so up and down. It was very Philadelphia, and you can agree with me or not, but it was very Philadelphia to break a guy down to his very soul and fibers, almost making him want to hang up his cleats forever, then giving him a big standing ovation. He hits a big 3-run homer. They go on to win the game. And I'm like, you guys have been wearing this guy out for 4 months now. Of course, talking about Trey Turner and his weekend in Philly. It's very Philly sports fan.
It is very Philly sports fan. At the same time, like I kind of love that. Like, because that does feel singularly capable for the spectrum in terms of the fan experience and how stars are treated in that city is they want to love them so badly. And you could say you apply this to other tough town like New York or whatever, but I don't know, man. I feel like once New York turns on you,
You're
literally
done.
no
Ask Joey Gallo.
Like, you're toast. It doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do. Whereas I think that the Phillies realize, like, this guy's going to be here for the next decade. Like, there's really no benefit in just continuing to, like, it's not like he doesn't know how much he sucked. He's been very open. He's been extremely accountable. And it's been frustrating and bizarre, his struggles. But I still think that they have enough talent on that team. And while for them it hasn't fully clicked, like, I do think they have enough going in the right direction that they should be in the mix there.
It's wild. Think about last year with Alec Boehm. He boots that ball. The place goes bananas. They get him on camera saying, "I effing hate it here." After the game, he goes, "Nope, I did." I think the accountability, I don't know. Why does it mean more in Philly than it does here? Because Xander Bogaerts has been accountable for his, up and down kind of rough season and not really what we expected. A lot of double plays, and he's like, "No, I'm accountable. I'm terrible right now." And Padre fans are still calling for his head every single day.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. And, you could say, man, and I think comparing, I mean, I feel like earlier in the season, spending a lot of time comparing the Padres and the Mets, right? Because of the expectations and the money and the big names. But I think that the Phillies and Padres are an even more interesting comparison when you consider them both being in the NLCS last year. And you would think, okay, so by the Phillies getting to the World Series and getting to Game 6 of the World Series, would the standards actually be higher and the expectations would be higher and we would be more disappointed by these things? You would maybe say yes compared to the Padres. And yes, it feels like it's reversed. It feels like the Padres' disappointment is actually greater because maybe they have less, they've given their fans less by not getting to the World Series last year. It's a very strange, I agree with you. It is hard to kind of parse. And I think, you guys, we've talked about this all season, but a lot of it is still jarring the expectations and the standards that are now on the San Diego Padres, who not that long ago, it was quite the opposite. So I think we're all still, I have to imagine Padres fans are still kind of figuring out where the lines, should be drawn for the expectations of their players.
Talking to Jordan Shusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue on a grand old Monday. And Jordan, I know you always notice the quirky things in baseball. It's one of the things I love about your guys' account and podcast. So you must have seen the tragic tale of Lyon Richardson yesterday.
I sure did.
Reds.
I actually almost.
Did you see this?
I'm near. I live near Cincinnati, so I was at the game on Friday, and the Reds season has really been kind of tumbling in the wrong direction. They call it Lyon Richardson. They're one of their top pitching prospects, and their pitching's been so bad in the last week. And you think, oh man, they don't trade for a starter. A lot of people thought they should. You say, okay, well, you know what? This guy's been getting outs into AAA. Let's see what this guy can do against the Nationals, who have clearly been playing a lot better recently. But it's like, okay, we got him. Hopefully he can turn around. And then CJ Abrams, by the way, sorry to say this, and I'm not saying that you guys should miss it because Juan Soto is still amazing, but CJ Abrams is figuring it out.
He's locked in right now.
is playing with a level of confidence and swagger right now that is quite impressive. And for him to go up there, and I've talked about this before, and some guys say this about any first pitch of the game, but when you think about a guy making his major league debut, right? If you're ranking guys who desperately want to throw it down the middle, right? If you think about it that way, guy making his major league debut is pretty high on the list. And so CJ Abrams doesn't owe Lyon Richardson anything. And so boom, he just smashes 400 feet
first
to right.
pitch of his
and
career.
And then for Lane Thomas to do the same thing on the next
second pitch of his career.
So symbolic of everything that's been going wrong with the Reds last week.
Second pitch gone.
You almost have to laugh. That's pretty amazing. You just have to laugh.
You've waited all your life.
Yeah.
You've dreamt of it, obviously, for whoever knows, a dozen years or more ever since you were playing a Little League.
Yep.
The day I get to make my big league debut, you envision it. And even if you're realistic, you're going, hey, if I just last 5 innings, give up a couple of runs, I can really be proud of myself. Hopefully the team wins the game.
You're like,
never in your worst nightmares do you think, I'm coming up, the first pitch I'm throwing is leaving the yard. And then I sit there with my head down. They trot around the bases. They give me a new baseball. The second pitch I throw leaves the yard as well.
How long did he last?
It's what we've had a couple debuts like this. It's interesting because I remember them more for relievers. I can remember Connor Brogdon came in for the Phillies. I think this was the 2020 season, and Pedro Severino came in it was in the 7th in like a close game. First pitch of his career, boom, gone. And there was a Cardinals reliever who allowed 4 homers in his first outing, I think in 2021. And I don't know if those were the first pitch, but like it is wild, right? Because of course, this is what you're dreaming of.
This is it.
Like, and you're envisioning strike one. You're envisioning your first strikeout or even getting a ground ball. But hey, they don't owe you anything. The opposing team, they're up there trying to win the game. They're up there trying to get their numbers too. What does CJ Abrams care? So it was ruthless, and it was so funny because if you watch the clip back, they pan to Josiah Gray and Trevor Williams on the bench, and they're like laughing as if to be like, "Oh damn, like that's
Jordan. We're out of time.
That's
awesome,
amazing.
man. Thank you so much.
Great.
He ended
Thank
up
you,
going 3 innings, gave up 4 runs. Got the loss in his debut. Jordan on our Premier
Thanks, Jordan.
Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Paulie's got some news on the dissolution of the Pac-12 and more next in the Roundel Report. Thanks again to Jordan Shusterman, obsessed with his family barbecue on a grand old Monday. If you haven't been, make sure you stop by Grand Old Barbecue sometime soon. Get some brisket. Thank me later. Got the Ronald Report coming up in just a couple of minutes. Did want to address a tweet from the always interesting Hector Gomez.
Yes.
Covering baseball in the Caribbean, and usually with some interesting Padres nuggets, either tied to Fernando Tatis Jr. and his family, or in this case, to Juan Soto. Last night, Gomez tweeting, according to a person very close to Juan Soto, the chances that the Padres will offer him a contract extension are increasing every day. Okay, well, I mean, first reaction, that's exciting news. If you're hearing some,
It's also the biggest nothing burger I think I've ever
rumors,
seen, right?
Well, after I took it, I just
Read
took
it
a
again.
moment. All right, according to a person very close to Juan Soto, so his agent or a family member of Juan Soto, the chances that the Padres will offer him a contract extension are increasing every day.
Is that all right?
See, I thought
Is
it
that
said
news?
I thought it said, according to a source very close to Juan Soto, he is growing increasingly more likely every day to accept and choose San Diego.
That would be news. First of all, we have no idea who this person is.
Ben, you are today one day closer to death than you were.
According to a source very close to me,
yesterday.
being you.
Yes.
I'm one
too.
day closer.
One day closer to the great demise.
To being, okay, so.
Just so you know. Is that news?
I guess I already felt there's like a 99.9% chance the Padres will offer Juan Soto a contract extension.
Breaking
At
news,
some
Padres
point.
offer a contract extension to generational
Think about
talent.
the
Their best hitter.
Think about the alternative. Just go into the offseason and Juan Soto, hey, we're good. We got one more year of Juan Soto, and just never even broach the subject. I mean, what matters is, are they thinking of, meeting Juan Soto's contract demands? Offering him a contract extension doesn't mean a lot. Now, if Juan Soto, like Paulie said, said he's growing increasingly more likely to be open to contract extension talks with the San Diego Padres,
he wants to be here forever, according to his dad.
That would be news, that he's willing to forego the opportunity to go on the open market and drive up that price. That would be news. But just the fact that the Padres are probably going to offer him a contract extension sometime in the future, anytime between now and the end of time, that is, as Paulie called it, that is a giant nothing burger of a tweet that looked very newsy when it came out last night. Ooh, breaking news. Wait, that doesn't say anything at all that we didn't already know. That says nothing at all about the Padres' future with Juan Soto.
Sources close to Blake Snell say the Padres are going to offer him a contract extension.
I guess it tells us that the Padres don't absolutely loathe Juan Soto and can't wait to get rid of him at the earliest possible moment, which none of us thought to begin with.
One day closer to the end of Ben Woods.
It is. It's true.
Today. Just so you know.
Who leaked that to Hector?
It's true. That's not news to me at all.
Reading comprehension is always very important. Now, maybe something was lost in translation.
I have no idea.
And there is going to be substantive contract negotiations, but that's not what that tweet says. There's nothing that indicates that they're closing in on a deal, or, the numbers might be anywhere near what the two sides are looking at to get something done. Just that the Padres are probably going to make an offer, which will probably come this offseason.
I'd be upset if it was.
I would be very surprised if there weren't. I mean, is it a verbal offer? Is there an actual something written out and handed over to an agent on the table? I don't know. There's an offer of some sort coming.
Now, our boys at Divine Sports Gospel tweeted Juan Soto posting this on his Instagram story a couple hours after the Hector Gomez dropped the news. They might be offering him an extension. Did post a quote that he had. Since day one, they made me feel like I'm home, and I feel good right here. He did post that, allegedly, to his Instagram. So that's good. I mean, if you listen to him talk, that's what always makes me nuts. Like, Juan Soto doesn't look like he wants to be here. Like, did you watch the All-Star game? Like, he was raving about San Diego, raving about how great it is living in San Diego. I think he bought a home here. Like, it's pretty happy here. So
good to know that the Padres haven't tried to make him as uncomfortable as possible.
They
why is my chair in the clubhouse just this plastic folding chair, and everyone else?
How come I have to change in the closet?
He gets his pants. They're just shorts. They're just way too short for him. They're baggy
capris.
They're not making me feel comfortable here at all. Of course, they're going to make him feel comfortable.
Put dead fish in his locker just to make him feel very uncomfortable.
Heck, they make Matt Carpenter feel comfortable here, and he doesn't do anything. He doesn't even play anymore. And they make him feel very comfortable here.
We got another human interest story about Matt Carpenter today. He has not seen a field in 2 weeks, and we have
2 weeks today was his last appearance in a pinch hit role.
He's a fine man.
If you read Kevin Acey's newsletter, it humanizes the whole situation.
I love it.
You
I love
feel for Matt
beings.
Carpenter. You feel for any athlete.
We had this conversation after the
end.
last Matt Carpenter piece that came out on Friday or Thursday. It's Monday, and there's another weekend gone by without a pinch hitting appearance.
I think the question at this point is the person you'd replace Matt Carpenter with going to get used either? And if they're not, then you might as well have Matt Carpenter be there and not getting used than someone else not getting used.
I couldn't disagree more, because
you'd rather have someone else not being used.
I think if you have somebody on your bench that is capable of doing something on a Major League Baseball field, then you call them up.
Right.
Right.
But if you don't, then you leave Matt Carpenter there.
No. My answer is don't have dead weight on the bench as you are trying to make the playoffs. Like, there's no need.
Feels like a backup outfielder would be nice.
It would be fantastic.
In case someone got hurt.
Or just to spell somebody. I mean, to spell Juan Soto in left, to spell Fernando Tatis in right, to spell Trent Grisham in center. It would be nice. Those guys have played and are looking down the barrel of playing every inning for the rest of the year. So I don't know how you look at your bench and go, I'm not going to use him, but he's really a good dude. He's really a good dude. You can't make him a special advisor or something, or associate hitting coach at this point in his career. Anything. Like, if you want to keep him around, you're a Major League Baseball team. You can find a way to keep him around. You know, I've seen I'd put him in for an AB just so I could do a Phantom IL tomorrow. I'd be like, hey, tweak this back. I'm calling up a Zokar. Just do something. I don't understand why you have in these all important games where you're going to need every piece, why you have dead weight on your bench. And I'm not talking about him dead weight as a human being. He's a really good human being, really nice guy. But he's just taking up a spot at this point. And I'm not trying to sound cruel or anything like that. Matt Carpenter's had a damn good career. Damn good career. Nothing to hang your head about, man. It didn't work out. It happens all the time. I just don't understand why, if we're making this push here, just A, why there's a human interest story on him twice a week, and B, why is he still here?
Maybe he can just leave some positive notes behind when he leaves.
Kick some ass today, guys. Go get him.
Today's word of the day from Matt Carpenter.
You could hire me for like $50,000 a year. You don't have to pay me $12 million. I'll go in there and talk the guys up. I mean, seriously, we need pieces, and that's just a piece we're not going to use. I've loved how you've seen Bob use the new guys and get them all into the action and getting them starts. Everything that's great, fantastic. But if you're not going to use them, then you have to cut bait at some point, I think. And no matter what a leader he is, in my opinion, we have plenty of leaders. Plenty.
Speaking of using our pieces, we got Paul ready with some headlines, including the latest on the Pac-4.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Gentlemen, I think we talked about it a little bit on Friday morning out at Ale Smith. Conference realignment. It's just been an absolutely crazy weekend in college sports, especially here on the West Coast. Since we left you, the Pac-12 is not even on life support. It's dead. It is completely disbanded pretty much. So we start with, let's see, Oregon and Washington joined USC and UCLA and joined the Big Ten. They left the Pac-12, or it was the Pac-10 at that point.
It was the Pac-12. It would be the Pac-10 after they left.
Left. So now it becomes the Pac-8. And then Brett McMurphy, I was following his timeline on Friday afternoon. So after Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten, the Big 12 then decides to get into the mix, and they poached Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah
to go with Colorado
over to the Big 12. So that's now the Big 16.
Yes.
And the Pac-12 is the Pac-4.
All that's left is Stanford, Cal, Washington State, and Oregon State. And now they need a home because you can't have a 4-team conference.
No.
That's not big enough.
The Conference of Champions has been around over 100 years. It is no more.
Lots of ideas being floated around, but
this will all start
it's just dead.
After this upcoming season. So the 2024-2025 season is when this
one
will
more
all
year
take
in the
place.
Pac-12, and then that's it.
Yep, for everybody. I think about, like, I grew up in Seattle near the University of Washington. Pac-12 school, that rivalry now, Washington State, that kind of loses its luster, right? The Apple Cup, and that's not the only in-state rivalry that's being affected by all of these conference realignments. But, man, I don't know what the hell is going to happen to San Diego State.
The ink is dry.
Yep.
Everything
it's done. It's voted on.
Big 12 and Big 10
8
formally
teams will be
accepted.
leaving after next year. The question is, what happens to the remaining 4? There's been ideas floated about the Mountain West taking them all in. Stanford going to the Mountain West would be a huge blow. I mean, Stanford's athletic programs are on a higher level than most of what the Mountain West has to offer. Now, yeah, San Diego State's got a basketball program that's better than what Stanford offers, but if you had Stanford competing in like women's swimming against it's a joke. They have top Olympians on their college teams competing against Mountain West schools.
Baseball's pretty good there.
It'd be a solid baseball league. There was some talk about combining some of the old Pac-4 with some of the top Mountain West and creating like a new 12-team league, and maybe even inviting Gonzaga and creating a really good basketball league that includes San Diego State and Gonzaga and Stanford and Cal and something on the West Coast that can be impressive in basketball. I mean, there are some ideas that are floated out there. The question is, can they get a TV deal that's going to be enough for? I mean, Stanford's athletic budget's like $95 million a year. The Mountain West gets like $6 million a year in TV money.
My God.
That's a lot to make up when you're like $89 million short to start the year to fund your athletic department. So, there's no good answers right now for those schools that are left out in the cold in the Pac-12. And it might be a somewhat opportunity for Mountain West schools in San Diego State, but the dream of San Diego State getting to play in the Pac-12 and, finally getting to be a Power 5 school kind of appears to be dead. I did see a tweet yesterday that there was some Big 12 discussion with the Pac. I don't know. I mean, it was just like a blogger from Arizona that said, hey, hearing San Diego State's renewing discussions with the Big 12, I would definitely take that call if I was JD Wicker. If
how many teams in the Big 12?
They've already added 4 officially.
They're losing 2, Texas and Oklahoma. They were down to like 9, and so now I think with the new ones they're back up to 13 or 14.
Big 14.
They could get up to 16 like the Big 10. Take San Diego State and someone else if they're interested. I don't know. Stanford wants to go to the Big 12. But Stanford would probably want to go with Cal. Who knows what's going to happen? It's just a giant mess right now in college athletics. Everyone chasing the money.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. All right, and then finally, speaking of wild, my God, scary story. So a private jet was taking off at Logan International in Boston and had a very scary, close, near miss with a commercial JetBlue flight. So here's what happened. Imagine, picture yourself in the cockpit. You're the pilot of the JetBlue commercial jet. You're about to land. You can see the runway. And then all of a sudden, a private jet cuts you off right in front of you. And you had the JetBlue flight had to do the dip up and like the emergency, like continue on so that they did not hit this private jet. The problem here is that the private jet was not cleared to take off. They just did so anyways. The pilot.
Yeah, that'll do it. Just going into airspace for which you have no permission to do
It
it.
says here the Learjet's 63-year-old captain flying for Hoppajet, a Florida-based private charter company, had been told to line up and read back the air traffic controller's instruction, but the pilot then began the takeoff roll instead. He told investigators later on, quote, "I cannot understand what happened to me during the clearance. The only thing that comes to my mind is that the cold temperature in Boston affected me. I was not feeling completely well and had a stuffed nose. My apologies."
Well, that's a reason to put hundreds of lives at risk because you got a stuffy nose. Honestly, I think I'd be a bad pilot because I'd almost be too careful. Like, you're cleared for takeoff on runway 09. Are you sure? You're absolutely
100% sure.
No one's going to be landing. No one else is
taking
going to
off.
take off at the same time. No one's going to be taxiing across. You're absolutely 100% sure. Yes, go. You mean like right now, go, or should I wait just another minute or two? I think I'd have trouble being decisive if I was a pilot. Because I heard about this JetBlue flight that there's no private planes that are just, randomly in the wrong spot, right? I want to make sure I got this runway all to myself right now.
Air travel's scary enough, okay? Without having other private planes trying to take off while you're taking them.
Oh, God, I'm pulling up the picture right now. You can see cockpit if you're watching on YouTube. There we are. That is the private jet right in front of them as they are about to land. Absolutely terrifying.
Can't see it. Neither can our radio listeners. It's not up here.
That's all right. I saw it on
You're watching
on the stream. But it's there. All right. We are going to come back. How do the Padres manage the missing Joe Musgrove? I haven't really talked about that yet. He's going to be gone probably a month at best, maybe the rest of the season.
He's not throwing for 3 weeks.
Yeah, which means
he's got to get built back up. This is awesome.
And they're going to have to figure out a way to make do and still catch up in a wild card race without Joe. Get to that coming up next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Padres got the bad news. I think it was Friday after our show, if I'm not mistaken, that Joe Musgrove, who was thought to only going to miss one start due to a sore shoulder, maybe back this week, will instead have to go on the shelf for at least 3 weeks due to inflammation in his shoulder capsule. I know no one's more bummed about this than Joe Musgrove himself. He really, I think this is the time of year that he was looking forward to. And
he was on a roll, too.
He's pitched great when, got off to the slow start with the injury, the kettlebell, the shoulder, came back, a couple of rough starts. Since then, though, he's been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball.
Yep.
Was one of the reasons, I think, for optimism for Padres fans coming down the stretch, knowing you got Joe towing the rubber every fifth day. And now you hope that he'll be back for September, maybe, 2 or 3 weeks left of the regular season. But even that is not guaranteed. They'll reevaluate after 3 weeks of rest. And that's best case scenario that, then he can start throwing again, build himself back up, and maybe be back in a month or 5 weeks. I think a more realistic case is, hey, yeah, things are getting better. We're going to, maybe keep him down for another couple of weeks and then build him back up. And maybe you see him the last couple of weeks of the season. But, that's a tough blow for a Padres pitching staff that was already without Michael Wacha. He could be coming back. He had a El Paso rehab start over the weekend on Saturday. But even that leaves you one short now with Joe Musgrove out. Now, Rich Hill has been added. Didn't have a good first start yesterday. Or you can go with a Pedro Avila.
Sure.
Or a Nick Martinez.
Sure. Or both.
But Bob Melvin's going to have to get a little creative the rest of the season, it looks like.
No doubt about it. I think Pedro Avila has shown a lot, man. He really has. And the swing and miss stuff has been really, really good. And, I know his numbers. Somebody was saying, look, his numbers in El Paso didn't really translate because with his off-speed stuff, I mean, it can be pretty sharp. And, that's a hitter's league there. But he has looked really, really good to me, man. And I'd like to see him start games, maybe a Martinez and Avila combo, or maybe not. Maybe you just stretch Martinez out, Ben, now that you've got a Barlow in the bullpen. Ray Kerr is starting to, pitch okay. Like, that's another arm you can use in middle innings. And again, creativity is sure, it sounds great for us to sit in here in the morning and go, just get creative. Let's just get creative with the San Diego Padres and their pitching staff. But again, when you look at some of the options to this point, none of them have been super effective in even their defined roles. So it feels like a wing and a prayer at this point when those starts jump up. It's more pressure on you, not you Darvish, more pressure on you, Darvish, Blake Snell, those guys, Seth Lugo. He's got to go out and really try to give you a quality start every time. And again, it all boils down to if the offense can hit, you're good. You're going to be fine.
The numbers behind the numbers for Pedro Avila have been good. The numbers have been good.
Sure.
But also when you look at, he got 17 swings and misses from the Dodgers yesterday. A team that doesn't, swing and miss a ton. We've seen how well they foul off pitches, spoil pitches. He got a lot of swings and misses. That's an encouraging sign from a guy who didn't really show a ton of that in the minor leagues. I mean, he wasn't bad. He earned a call-up, so he was doing something right. But he has taken his game to another level. Now, he won't be able to pitch on Tuesday after going 4 2/3, I think it was yesterday. Right. So you're going to have to either go with a Nick Martinez bullpen game probably on Tuesday or call someone up. And honestly, there's not really anyone left. You traded away Ryan Weathers. You traded away Jackson Wolf. Jay Groom has been struggling again at AAA. The options are very, very limited pitching-wise for the San Diego Padres. They're going to need Rich Hill to throw some innings. He's going to get some more starts. I do think he'll show better than he did yesterday against the Dodgers. But you're going to have to count on some guys who haven't really been starting pitchers for you, and they're going to have to do well because you can't just punt every fifth day. You need to win some of those games down the stretch to make up a 3-game deficit.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think Avila has certainly earned some more trust from Bob Melvin. And who knows? I mean, who knows what they can stretch him out to throw? But he looked great yesterday.
Felt like a little bit of an audition almost.
No doubt. He kept running him back out there, and that's what you need right now. You'd love a clearer picture of what you have, and it's kind of a bummer, when you finally start to get guys in some defined roles, then they even let you down in those. So it's a tough road to hoe for Bob Melvin. No question, man. I do not envy that at all.
By the way, I think I think you throw some results against the Dodgers. You know, throw them out the window. I mean, you're going to have to probably beat that team at some point.
I say if you do it against the Rockies, I'm looking at the Dodgers lineup going, okay. I mean, you're walking Austin Barnes yesterday. You're letting Austin Barnes get hits yesterday. He barreled another ball yesterday. You look at it's not the same Dodgers lineup. It's just not.
No, but they've been doing. I mean, their pitching's been really mediocre all year. They've been doing it with offense. The reason why they're in first place has been their offense.
It's mostly their superstars that get the job done. Mookie and Freddie, and you hold those guys at bay, you know, and then you kind of take your chances. You know, sure, Chris Taylor's going to get a big hit or a big walk every now and then, but you take your chances with the Rosario who hit a wall scraper. Yes, you take your chances with a Rosario. You take your chances with a Taylor, with an Austin Barnes. You know, don't let Freddie and Mookie get you. And I feel like that you'll be in good shape. You know,
it's funny, and maybe this is Homer me. And I know Tatis has been in a slump lately. I like the Padres lineup better right now than the Dodgers lineup.
I think Dodger fans do too, except for Mookie and Freddie. They're having all world.
I like the Padres pitching staff better than the Dodgers pitching staff. I wouldn't trade rosters right now if I could. I like the Padres roster and what they have. The results on the field don't match that, though. When they play each other, the Dodgers continue to dominate that head-to-head series. Doesn't make a ton of sense, but you know, I mean, I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I like what the Padres are doing. I like their lineup right now compared to the Dodgers.
You like everything.
That's a good point. I like Sammy. Spring training, regular season.
I like the Dodgers
Sammy,
lineup.
Season Sammy. I like everything about Sam Levitt. He is going to join us when we come back on Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 97.3 The Fan. You can go back, find anything from any of our shows. Just download the Odyssey app now. That's AUDACY. Sam Levitt was at Petco Park all weekend long. He's probably there right now, maybe
Yes.
on his way.
He's
I would
like
think
setting up, I think.
He's
Yep.
already there. He will join us for his weekly Monday conversation ahead of an early start right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
After a very busy morning, things are finally starting to shape up on our roads, guys. Just this one problem in the North County of this collision on westbound 78. This is just past the 15, couple vehicles involved there over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline, joined as we are each and every Monday by our Padres pre- and post-game show host, Sam Levitt. Sammy getting a lot of love on social media this weekend. Sammy, good talking to you this morning.
Absolutely. Great to be with you. To answer your question, I am at the ballpark. When there's a day game, I have a very specific routine that I've mapped out at this point. I get here about 7:30 to downtown, grab a cup of coffee, do some work, at a local coffee shop around here, and then enter the ballpark first thing. I try to be the first one through that media entrance. I was here today. I confirmed it with the very nice people at the media entrance, and then enjoy the sounds of the ballpark, a very quiet ballpark in the morning. One of my absolute favorite things about this job. So I've been here for over an hour already as the grounds crew is working on the field. We have some guys warming up in both outfields right now, Dodgers in left, Padres in right, some guys stretching, doing some running. So getting ready for baseball here today at Petco Park.
All right, so Sammy, in reality, being the first there just means you end up waiting around longer than anyone else.
Yeah.
However, you can never argue with the person who's there first. When Woods and I do spring training in Peoria, always like to see which player gets there first. You know, it's a competition. They just get there earlier and earlier so they can be the guy who gets there first. So I'm glad to know Sam Levitt is the guy who gets there first to cover a Padres game.
I love it. It's one of my favorite things. This is going back to when I was in the minor leagues. I enjoyed getting to the ballpark early. Now, admittedly, in Amarillo, I could do whatever I wanted. So if I wanted to be there at 6 a.m., I could be there at 6 a.m. If I wanted to be there at 2 a.m., I could do it absolutely. Speaking of Amarillo, I just had somebody I used to work with in Amarillo deliver me a coffee here to the press box. I'm live on the radio right now. So I've got coffee here. I have everything set up for me here at the ballpark right now. So that's why you get here early. You never know what might happen. It's a good time, but I love it. Early mornings, and yes, I know. Maybe I'm a little goody two shoes for being the first one here, but I enjoy it.
I mean, I'm the first one here every day, and I'm certainly not a goody two shoes by any stretch, Sammy. In-season Sammy joining us here on Ben & Woods this morning. Yeah, obviously an interest. It's been a wild series between these two. Do you take that as a Padre fan as opposed to the last time? I mean, this has just been wild. The bullpen meltdowns by both teams in the 8th inning, and then, of course, yesterday the weird call that probably should have gone in the Padres' favor. Have you heard from anybody on that call? It seems that no one really knows what the hell they're talking about as it pertains to that blocking the plate call. I did see it summed up really nicely. If Gary Sanchez is involved, it's obstruction. That's the clearest I've seen on the rule.
Yeah, I don't understand it. We heard Bob Melvin talk about it yesterday, and he echoed what we all feel, and that is that it's very confusing because you don't understand what the catcher is supposed to do. And with the infielder in and making that play, that's supposed to be a play where the rule really doesn't apply as far as blocking. And supposedly the catcher doesn't have enough time to, create a legal position. However, whatever wording you want to use, from my understanding and from you guys reading the rule earlier, we've all read it. That would seem like a play where what Gary Sanchez did was fine. So we heard that from Bob Melvin. He seems to not have a ton of clarity on it, even after all these replay reviews this season. And we heard Rich Hill talk about it after the game as well and really echo that. So there just continues to be a ton of confusion around it. I don't understand it. It seems like all these calls this season go against the Padres. Again, even the double play with Fernando Tatis Jr., the replays they showed here in the ballpark, it looked like he was safe for me, or at the very least, there wasn't clear enough evidence to overturn it. So, yeah, it wasn't a good day on the replays for the Padres, and it seems like these home plate reviews, they have just consistently went against the Padres. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy theory out there or anything, but it just has not gone their way. It's been bad luck, right? And that's sort of been a theme at times for the Padres this season in close games and things like that. So I don't understand it. I don't know what the catchers are supposed to do. I don't understand with that quick of a play what else you're supposed to do if you're Gary Sanchez. I thought he did the best he could, and obviously the replay room in New York thought otherwise.
Sammy, I think, because of the losses in 2 of the last 3 games, it's gone a little bit unnoticed. But for the first time this season, the Padres actually have multiple players outside their core who are hitting well. Jake Cronenworth has caught fire. Ha-Sung Kim is on a 13-game hitting streak. I was just surprised to learn that Trent Grisham is on a 7-game hitting streak and hitting, I think, .348 during that streak. Gary Sanchez has heated up again and is hitting a bunch of home runs. All of that bodes really well for a team trying to make a run here. They haven't quite translated it into the 4-game winning streak that never comes, but it feels like the Padres are awfully close to it right now, at least in my mind.
Wasn't that Gary's knock that got us going in the 8th on Saturday?
Yeah, started the whole thing.
The whole thing. I mean, he's more than just a power hitter.
Leadoff single. Yeah, leadoff single, and he had, by the way, after the home run by Cronenworth. Well, let me think about this. After the home run by Cronenworth, I don't have my scorebook in front of me. The home run by Cronenworth, and Sanchez, I believe, had a double after that off the right center field fence. So, look, there was an opportunity there briefly for the Padres to make some noise and really get back in that game. But Bennett's a good point. You have Kim on a 12-game hitting streak. You have Cronenworth in the midst of a 9-game hitting streak. He's batting .432 in that span. Trent Grisham, like you said, 7-game hitting streak. Even Juan Soto, had an 8-game hitting streak snap yesterday. He's still batting .405 with 4 home runs in his past 37 at bats. So you have a number of guys in this lineup that are producing at a high level right now. The one guy who is struggling, and there's bad luck involved too, is Fernando, and he's just 3 for 35 in his past 8 games. You go back even a little bit farther, his last 13 games, he's batting only 109. But you can read those numbers, and if you really watch it day in, day out, like we all do, we all know he's hit the ball better than that. And there's been a lot of bad luck. I mean, how many balls has he hit to the warning track, including having a home run robbed from him on Friday by James Outman? So look, to your point, Van, they've got guys producing outside the big 4 with Grisham and Kim and Cronenworth. You hope it's enough today, and they can get enough offense going today to take down this Dodgers team, because look, this is a big game. You want to split, you want to keep the general momentum going. I mean, when you zoom out, it's something we've talked about. The Padres are 18-12 since the start of July. Could be a whole lot better. We all know that based on some of the losses they've had, but they continue to pick up games, guys.
Yep.
I mean, they picked up 5 games in the standings in the last 3 weeks. They were 8 games out of a wild card spot 3 weeks ago, and they wake up this morning 3 games out with 50 to play. And with the way these teams are playing in front of them, it is so doable. I mean, this is right in front of this team. Forget everything that's happened. Forget the fact that we all believed and hoped that they would be competing with the Dodgers for a division title right now. That's what this series would be here in early August. It's not. But if you forget that and you just focus on what's in front of them, it is all right there for this team right now. And I think there's a big game here today, because you don't want to lose 3 out of 4 to this LA Dodgers team. And a split would at least continue that general momentum and trend that we've seen now for a month plus.
Who's on the bump for the Dodgers today? I know Lugo.
Gonsolin.
Oh,
Tony Gonsolin.
Okay. Yeah, very, very handleable for the
one
Diego
thing.
Padres.
Yeah, and I've already done a lot of prep here this morning, because I am here so early at the ballpark.
That's exactly right.
I'll give you something to watch in this game for both teams. Gonsolin has not gone very deep into games. He's gone beyond 5 innings just once in his last 7 starts. The home run has been a problem for him. He's allowed 6 home runs in his last 5 starts. For context, he only gave up 6 home runs combined in his first 12 starts of the season. Similarly, Seth Lugo, the home runs, he's been good lately, Lugo, 3 straight quality starts, but home runs have been an issue. He's given up 6 in his last 4 starts, and similar to Gonsolin, only gave up 6 combined in his first 12 starts of the season. So I think the home run ball is something to watch, especially when you're talking about obviously the top of the Dodger lineup with Betts and Freeman, and good pitching matchup because Lugo's been really good, and Gonsolin, despite not going deep in games, obviously when he's on, he's very tough to deal with.
Well, and you've seen Dave Roberts manage very aggressively this series. You've seen him. He pulled Grove. I mean, I know that was their plan for him, but that would have been tough for me to go out and pull Michael Grove when he struck out 6 of the first 7 hitters. The slider had like a 4 feet of run, and I'm sitting there looking at that going, you're pulling him now? Okay, well, we have a shot. I mean, I know that they have their plan and they stick to their plan, and that's fine. In my opinion, you got to get to Gonsolin early. You got to get to Gonsolin early because you will see an aggressive Dave Roberts go to his bullpen, and you will see Joe Kelly today. I can guarantee you Joe Kelly will be fresh and ready to go again today. You don't want Joe Kelly coming in when you're down 2-3 runs with an opportunity with a guy on base or something, because I mean he's been effective since he's been back with the Dodgers. So I think getting to Gonsolin early can really help this team massively today.
Yeah, I agree with you, Woods. I think it would be a big help today, and we see that often with Padres, right? When they can get the guys early, that's generally when they have success. Lance Lynn yesterday was able to really settle into a groove. I mean, he really took care of the Padres yesterday. Gave up the home run to Sanchez, and that was really it. But you look at the Dodger bullpen today. I mean, the good news for them is one guy they haven't used the last couple of days is Evan Phillips, but they did have to use Gratterall yesterday. They did use Almonte yesterday. They've used those 2 guys, in fact, back-to-back days, and obviously Caleb Ferguson had major troubles on Saturday. So a couple of guys that have been used back-to-back days. Phillips is, really the key guy out of that bullpen that they've used pretty much in a closer role this season and in a bunch of different spots. So I'm with you. You want to get to Gonsolin early, not let him settle in because like we said, I mean, he can be very, very effective, and certainly a better showing offensively you want than what you saw yesterday against Lance Lynn. And, you look at yesterday, Tatis, Soto, and Machado, a combined 0 for 11. We know the story with this team on days where they go 0 for, it's hard for the Padres to win. So certainly want better than that here today.
Can I go back for just 1 second and bring up the name Seth Lugo again? Because honestly, I think Seth Lugo might be the most underrated Padres player of this entire season. I love what he's done for this team, guys. I mean, the attitude. Yeah, I know he missed some time with the injury, but when he goes out there, he's not the best pitcher in the league, the most dominant guy, but to me, he may be right there with Joe Musgrove is like the biggest bulldog that the Padres have. He's efficient.
He's an unsung hero.
He goes
type,
deeper into the games than I ever imagined. I thought when they got Seth Lugo, they'd be
3-4 innings,
5-inning guy at most. He's gone 7. He's gone into he can go into the 8th. It looks like he's efficient. He's not afraid to challenge hitters. He's effective. I think Seth Lugo has quietly been maybe the Padres' most underrated contributor this year.
Yeah, Ben, he's been outstanding. I mean, his last 8 starts, a 3.04 ERA that's since coming off the IL with the calf strain. He's been great, and I'm with you. I think he's exceeded expectations. I mean, you have to put it in the context of who he was entering this season, right? I mean, this is a guy who had been used as a starter at times with the Mets, but for the most part, and especially last season, he's been a reliever. So to put it in the context of showing up at spring training, coming in with the expectation that he was going to start, and the idea that he would try to throw as many innings as he could. Now, I guess the silver lining to the calf injury was that you saved some of his innings, but he has taken on the starter role full force from the start of spring training, and he's ran with it. And he's been really, really good. And like you said, I mean, these have not been short outings. He's had 3 straight quality starts. He's consistently going 6-7 innings. I love his pitch mix, the way he uses his curveball, all those different pitches. I think there's a lot of potential with Seth Lugo still as a starting pitcher moving forward, even beyond this year. I mean, he's showing it right now. So goes right after guys, and I'm with you. I think he's been a real unsung hero on this team, and that there have been there's been the question throughout the year, and even over the course of the last few weeks. Okay, what would the innings limit be for Seth Lugo this year? And whether it's him or Bob Melvin, it's something that, really has not been discussed. He's thrown 89 innings. He'll get to 100 here at some point soon, obviously. But, from what I understand, I mean, there's no conversation about slowing him down or doing anything differently. So to his credit, seems like he feels great and just continues to march on with what he's doing. And obviously being out for a little bit saves some of those innings as well, which maybe with the injuries to Musgrove and Waka ends up being a silver lining, right? Because now you need some starting pitching with those injuries. So Lugo's been great, though. I totally agree with you. And I've enjoyed getting to know him, too. He's a good guy. He's got a good personality. And I just enjoy watching him pitch. He really goes after guys and has done a really good job for this ball club, no doubt.
Sammy, we'll let you get back to your coffee and prep, and look forward to the pregame show at 12:10 this morning for the 1:10 first pitch. Thank you very much.
Yes, clubhouse is open. Any interviews you want today? Who should I go for?
Garrett Cooper.
Oh, come on. Garrett Cooper.
Just curious about him.
Ask Fernando how he feels about getting thrown at all the time.
I will work on it.
He's going to work on that. Sam Levitt on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. If you haven't read it, Annie Heilbrunn did a one-on-one with Seth Lugo. Thought it was fascinating. Lugo really talked about how he did not like being in the bullpen. I mean, he did it because you have to do it sometimes, but the guy is a thinker, Woods. He loves the strategy of it, analyzing an entire lineup and how you're going to attack each player. And he didn't really like the old, I'm coming in for one inning, throwing as hard as I can and trying to get the three guys out in front of me. He wants to set guys up and face them two or three times. He wants to pitch.
Pretty fun if you have good stuff to actually go out and pitch.
Yeah, that's what he wants to do. And I thought it's a really good piece. He also loves disc golf.
Okay.
Big time Frisbee golfer. Get him up to Goat Hill. And they've got a great Frisbee golf course out there in addition to the regular golf course.
They do. I often swing for the
Frisbee
I
golf hole,
always forget which hole it is.
I mean, there's a flag on it. You might as well, man.
Ben almost hit a hole in one at the Frisbee golf. Oh, that's right on it. If you were playing disc golf.
All right, that's it for a Monday. I don't know where Coach and Braden are. They're on remote
I think they're
somewhere.
at the loft. I think they're
Are they at the game?
Yeah.
Outstanding. Adam Klug's here to run the studio show coming up next. That's it for us. For executive producer Paul Reindl and for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. We'll be back tomorrow. Wrap up today's game, talking about a Mariners series and more. All coming up here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.